Hello everybody. How are we doing tonight? Are we ready for the if my numbers are correct, for the longest alternate universe chapter in the fic? I'm pretty sure this is the longest, because I don't think we've read anything longer than this, and I went forward and I checked the future chapters, all the future chapters, and none of them are longer than this one. So we got a fucking full stream tonight. But hello Skitty Lunar, unda, Sino Duality, it's lovely to see you guys. But today is gonna be a fucking journey. I'll definitely have to take probably some kind of like 5-minute break halfway through. Though I do say that every time we have to do like a 20k word chapter fic, and I don't ever really have to. But I'll probably have to today. Which will be fine. I'll try to find like a decent midway point. But today's chapter is long and pretty loaded. So I'm not going to waste too much time But we'll wait another maybe minute or so, and then I'll jump into recap, and then we'll hop into the I was gonna say into the episode, not an episode, into the reading, or the chapter. I had a lovely day today so far. I had my first run where I totaled, or I, like, on average, was sub 9 minutes per mile for the whole run. So that was cool. Very, very exciting. I've been doing it for fucking like 3 months. No, more than that. I started in November, so like 4 months. So finally hit sub 9 minutes, which is so exciting for me. All because of Solux running in YWDMP, and I wanted to run because of that. And now it's a habit that I've kept up. Hi, do you go by Rambo, or do you go by, I feel weird calling somebody Rambo. Fanzane, I'll just say Rambo if that's okay with you. Crenshaw Ellipti. Zane? Okay, gotcha. Oh, Rambo fan Zane. I understand. Okay. Gotcha. And yeah, unda, it is ungodly hours for you right now. I am aware of that. Yeah, it's not even like a you don't have work tomorrow day. It's a you very much do have work tomorrow, and this is a bad decision. But you know what? I'm not gonna blame you. Yeah. Now the question is, will you stay the whole chapter? And I doubt you will, but we'll see. Because what, this is gonna be like, this is gonna be like a 3-hour stream, at least 2.5. Yeah, 23k. This is the longest alternate universe chapter. Oh, thank you, Zane. I appreciate that. It is homemade. I only have myself to blame for being that long. It's funny because I was like, in my head, I was like, I feel like you could split it in half, or at least at like 2/3. Like there's like a point I think that you could split it. But then I was like, but unda doesn't really have a lot of chapters that are like under 15k. And then I skipped ahead, and there were a couple chapters that were like 10k. Or there's like one chapter that's only like 10k words, and I was like, oh, now unda could have split it in half if they wanted to. But no, we just have this fucking chonker of a chapter. Like, I might have to leave early because I'm going to a con tomorrow. Ooh, exciting. I would ask what con, but I don't want you to dox yourself. Unless you want to share. But that's super exciting. Alright, let's hop into the summary. Oh yeah, Chris, I remember when I first popped into a stream, it was the How Far We've Come animation stream, and I remember being like, whoa, way cracklier voice than usual. But yes, epic voice, lovely laugh. Thank you. I appreciate that. Being on testosterone for, what? I've lost count. A year and something does that to you. You know, helps out. Helps out quite a bit. It's funny, you should see, I have one stream. I have one stream that's highlighted. That's from my Ace Attorney playthrough. And I think I streamed that when I was pre-T. And you can go back and you can see hear the difference in my voice. It's quite fascinating to hear the difference. I keep that stream up because it's memories, but it's also funny to have a comparison. Also, hi, Willow. So I'd like to still get like vocal training to see if I can go lower, because I don't really make an effort to go lower. I just kind of speak normally. For a while I was trying to kind of just do it on my own, but I feel like I would want vocal training just because I don't want to like fuck up my voice permanently. And I feel like doing vocal training when you're not, especially trying to go higher is also kind of like difficult, but like trying to go deeper, I feel like I can strain my voice sometimes. So I would really want to get like professional advisement on it. But most, I mean, there's a lot of trans guys who just like don't, who just do testosterone. They're just, you know, cool with whatever voice they have. But I think I would still like to, if I could, go a little bit lower. And I don't think that testosterone is going to take me much lower. Because I've been on it for, I mean, who knows, in another like 3 years maybe. But I've definitely like hit that like it's leveled out. I haven't been recording changes from my voice. Once I hit about a year, I kind of stopped recording them. Because I used to do the thing where it's like, hello, my name is Chris, and this is, and today is, you know, however many this day, and this is my voice 6 months on T, whatever, right? So I stopped tracking that after about a year. And I haven't done it since, but maybe I'll do it at 2 years. I think it might be cool even just then to see if there's any change. If it helps you already sound mask as fuck to me, thank you. I do appreciate that. I think it's interesting because it's always been my voice. So you hear, like, I hear every little incremental change. So I heard what my voice sounded like at the very beginning to now, and like I can tell there's obviously been a change, but it's also like hard to think about it. So, you know, and gender dysphoria is so fucking bleh, bleh, I hate it. But I've gotten a lot better, and it'll be even better once I get top surgery, which is probably years down the line. But oh my god, going on testosterone was like just the best thing that could have happened to me, because my dysphoria was so bad. And then once I finally got on it, like, even though I wasn't, like, there was no difference between the day before I started testosterone and the day after I started testosterone, outside that I was on testosterone. Like, my body had not started changing, you know, it's not that quick. But the sheer, like, weight off of my shoulder of like, okay, now all I need to do is wait. Like, now all I need is time, and there's nothing I can do to like stop that or change that. I just need to wait for stuff to happen. And like half of my dysphoria was like just fucking gone, because all it was now was just patience, and there wasn't anything I could do about it, and it was just, you know, letting the clock run, and finally like just being able to be like, okay, now it's not in my control anymore. And you might think that that's like maybe scary, but also like for me it was very relieving of like, I don't have to care anymore. I just got to put gel on my shoulders every night, and then bada bing bada boom, it'll happen eventually. And then I got to get, you know, really excited whenever I'd see changes and stuff like that. So yeah. Also, this, I did not mean to go into a whole spiel, but I don't know. I like talking about it. It's fun. I joined the stream the first time was like, whoa, Chris's gender. Aw, thank you. I would see the little Tumblr PFP and do a real suave voice in my head, but your voice is more crackly like a fireplace or something. It's very nice. Oh my goodness. I think the crackliness is definitely from, because like my voice still cracks. If you were here yesterday, you can tell my voice cracks a lot, or it can crack a lot. If I get really excited, it'll crack all over the place. But so I'm still like, I'm assuming, you know, because it takes like guys years and years for their voice to finally drop. So, you know, I can't expect it to be fully, you know, all done within a year. But I don't know. I think it's fun. I like it. It's so funny. One of the things they don't tell you about is your singing voice has to change. And I'm not a huge singer. Like, I don't sing professionally or anything. But I love to sing, even if I'm a little bad at it. But like, I can't, like, I used to sing like, you know, soprano, alto, and I can't do that anymore. And my habits don't change, but my voice has. And so now I'll try to sing like an alto part, or I used to. I'm better about it now. I'm more used to singing lower, but I would try to like sing an alto part, and my voice just like wouldn't let me. And it's so wild to like listen to a song where a guy is singing and my natural voice is like lower than the voice of the guy in the song, and I'm like, holy shit, this is so cool. So yeah, that's neat to hear. I plan on going to T. I'm on T myself, so it's neat to hear about it. Hell yeah. I'm always happy to answer questions about it. I enjoy it. When the AU stream started, I would sometimes be calling with my friend, but leave call to listen to the streams, and I sent your Twitch link to one of them. The one time I did that, one of my friends was like, I know you've sent the link a few times. I like listening to their streams. They have a nice voice. I'm sometimes a little scared. They're looking in chat, watching me do random stuff. But Chris, I think we're all generally in agreement that you have a very nice, calming voice. Oh, that's so sweet. I'm not on any HRT, but I can sing a lot of tender parts, which makes me really happy. Yeah. I used to, so I grew up in like a, Christian non-denominational church, whatever. I've gotten out of the church. I'm, religious trauma, woo, blah, blah, blah. But, we would do songs where, everybody sings a different part, and you would each sing, like, there was like a verse dedicated for each different part. And every single time I would try to sing, like from when I was young, right? I would love singing the bass parts to the song, and I couldn't. Like I can't. My voice can't go that low. But every single time, and because everybody's so loud, it's church, right? We're all singing. Nobody can tell. But every time I would sing the bass part, it's like, I wonder. Oh, curious about that, huh? Wonder what that might be. So, well, there's little hints here and there everywhere. Okay, things you think about later. Yeah. There's so many egg moments. Oh my god, I was such an egg for such a while. Not like a crazy, because I knew I was bisexual, and then about like a year later or so, not a year later, I knew I was bisexual since like high school, even middle school maybe. But it wasn't until I was like 18-ish. I'm 21 now. It wasn't until I was about 18-ish that I was like really looking into like more like stuff about like the queer community, and then seeing everything about transness and stuff, and I was like putting things together, and I was like, maybe all this stuff that I'm always feeling all the time is dysphoria. And it made so many things click. I hope this won't awaken anything in me. Yep. Me, when I remember asking my mom in first grade if girls could get married so I could marry my best friend at the time. Yep. I was very much like, I told my mom from the very young, and she would vouch for this. I was like, I never want to get married. Now, funny thing is, because I'm bisexual now, but like, am I aromantic? Who knows? We're labels. I'm queer. But I always liked hanging out with guys. I had guy friends all through high school. All this sort of stuff. Blue Bean, thank you for the resub for 9 months. Oh my goodness. I'm here. Have you started the summary? I haven't. We got off topic, and now we're talking about being trans and queer. I suck at singing, and that's why I like it when my parents go out, because then I can sing as loud as I want, and because I refuse to sing with people near me. Yes, moving out of my parents' house to go to college was so relieving. Every hopefully, not everybody, but the feeling of being able to move out from your parents is a feeling I would wish upon everybody. It's so nice. I'm also a big, like, I love to dance. Again, not good at it. I just really like to. And so the feeling of being alone in my room and being able to lock the door, because I used to live with a sibling, and we would share rooms all the time. And being able to dance in my room with nobody there. Oh my goodness. The best feeling. It's the best feeling. I love doing it. I was one of those people that knew about LGBT stuff before I started questioning myself, and I literally remember being like, wow, I wish I could be trans, like, bro. Yup. That is it. Currently pester questing with friends, so I can't talk. No worries, Arch. I do hope you have a fun time pester questing. Yeah, I went through a not like other girls phase, which technically I was correct in on the account of not being any kind of girl. Yup. I just got here from finishing the previous VOD. Great to be able to catch another stream. No worries, Rose. It's lovely to see you here. So we haven't started the summary. In fact, I probably should start soon, because if not, this stream will go until midnight, and I can't let that happen. I mean, I could. I don't have anything tomorrow, but we should probably jump into it at some point. You know, it's funny. My summary. I checked the word count for my summary. I have currently written 18K words of summary for this fic. That's that is now that's not a crazy, that's like one chapter. That's like a chapter of alternate universe. That is like a chapter of alternate universe dedicated to alternate universe summary. So I wonder if it'll be what, I think like 35K by the end of the fic. No, maybe maybe a little longer, maybe like just under. I think actually 35K might be a nice estimate. Recursion. It's hard too because it's like the summaries aren't that well written, because it's like I have to, because these chapters are so dense. Oh my god, trying to condense them is so difficult. So, and I'm also writing them like, you know, like 5 minutes before the stream starts, because I have no sense of time management. So are the boys in them. True. Oh my god, true. All right, let's hop into quickly summarizing the end bit of last chapter. Really, not much else to it. Soulcat did the do. The birds and the bees, they did a little smooch and then went a little further. They got to, what's the base? Like third base. They hit a home run. They did a little black rom tango. They did a little, you know, they had a little fun in the bedroom. They did some sports, some, you know, sideways sports. Literally birds and PX. Oh my god, it is birds and peas. Oh my god, that's awesome. Because Cart gets the bird and then Solux is the bee motif. I did it. Oh my god, that's so great. Holy fuck. That is awesome. Casino. Oh my god, that's beautiful. Under like, I need to write this down. I need to write this down. Oh my goodness. So anyways, they have a fun little time. And Solux has to go off to deal with some stuff with Mina and things with the demons that Karkat doesn't know the full details about, but Karkat's like, you're gonna tell me if I can help. And Solux is like, I'm not gonna be able to tell you much, but okay. But Solux heads off, and Karkat like comes downstairs, and everybody immediately clocks him and starts teasing him because Solux has left like the biggest hickey on his neck. And everybody, you know, messes with him. So yeah, so that's kind of where we ended off. It was a fun chapter, last chapter. And we are going to hop into, chapter 28, Oak and Ash and Thorn. And I'm going to turn down the audio a little bit. We're going to take a little drink of water, and we're just going to get started. This is a mega chapter, and we'll probably have to again pause halfway through or so. But let's jump our way in. I'm gonna put my headphones over here, as I usually do. Alright. Here we go. So, you and Solux, Dave says. He'd been so restrained in commenting during your magical languages class, but now that you're on your way to your customary coffee place after class, he's finally cracked. Yes, you sigh. You two slept together, huh? Dave says with a grin. Dave, you try. The horizontal tango, the beast with two backs, the no pants dance, the Dave is only stopped by you putting your hand over his mouth. Is this psychological warfare to express that you're not okay with this, or is this just being you? You ask him suspiciously and take your hand away. Am I okay with you too? He starts. Dave, you cut him off, and he even can't keep a straight face now. Why wouldn't I be okay with it? Dave answers finally. Because we're dating, and I just had sex with, you start. The other guy you're dating, yes. Even though he had to bail, he sounded pretty chill about it, so I'd guess you two had fun. Your neck looks like you two had fun at least. If he's happy, and you're happy, then I'm happy. No jealousy or envy here, I swear. Dave assures you, and you relax a little. I swear this isn't supposed to be easy. We're all young. Well, you two are. And we've never done this before. I know me and Solux were together in the past, but I remember basically nothing of that, and relationships are hard even between two people. With three, it should be, like, super complicated. But everything just seems fine, you say with a frown. You're mad that we don't have relationship problems? Sometimes when things are right, they're just easy. Also, I'm gonna tell Solux you called him easy. Dave teases. Do it, it'll annoy him, and that'll be great for me. You laugh. See, it's all good. I'm happy you two went to Pound Town, Dave says. Oh god, why? You groan. And not saying that I wouldn't also be down for a visit there, but I'm not jealous. I'm happy for both of you. Don't you think the rest of your life is complicated enough without this being complicated too? Dave finishes. I guess you have a point. I'm ignoring the first half of what you said, but still, you admit, and open the door to the coffee place and hold it open for Dave to go in first. Swoon, such a gentleman, Dave sighs dreamily as he passes you. You're pretty sure that he's fluttering his eyelashes behind those shades. Dave shoos you to the standard table and you sit down. You check the weather forecast for tonight for probably the 100th time. It's still cold but clear and dry with no clouds in sight. Your date should still be good to go. You hope so, at least. When Dave comes back to you, the drinks you have seem to be about 50% whipped cream and have an honest-to-God sparkler stuck on the top. You have no words, so helpless laughter will just have to do. Dave gets pictures, because of course he does. Alright, for real though, totally serious time. Did you have fun last night? As did everything go okay? Dave asks. Are you asking because of demon anatomy or something? You ask and sip your surprisingly tasty drink. Pretty much, yeah, he nods. I mean, I don't remember ever having sex with anyone, so it's all new to me. I don't see how it could have been a problem, though. Isn't working out what the other person likes and following their lead when they show you all part of having sex with someone regardless of anything? He didn't seem to have any complaints, and I sure as shit don't, so... You shrug. You can't see why it'd be a bigger deal than having sex with anyone else. Dave has a kind of sappy smile on his face, so your answer must have been the right one. Besides, it was nice. I told him I hated him and demonic. I taught myself how to say it. It felt meaningful, you know? You admit, looking down at the table and feeling your face heat up. Yeah, I've heard about that part. By which, I mean I have several pages of emotional trolling messages about it. I'm pretty sure you are romance Batman now. Dave laughs. He's genuinely happy for both of you. How is this working out so easily? I'm really looking forward to tonight, you admit. And by looking forward to, I mean incredibly anxious about, but still. Yeah, I was going to ask about that. You've got work later, right? What's the plan with times? I'm all about the timing. Dave says as he stirs his drink with a long spoon, mixing the thing into an overly sugary frenzy. I finish at 6, so we could go out at 7 or 1:45, you suggest. Sounds good. Do I have to wear anything specific? He asks. Go for warm things, you suggest. Intriguing. Alright, I'm down for this, Mr. Vantis. I'm prepared to be wowed by your ninja romance ways, Dave says and takes a sip of his drink. 1, that's only going to make me more nervous, so thanks. 2, I thought I was romance Batman, not a ninja, you point out. Batman had training by ninjas, Dave tuts, as if it's your fault for not knowing that. That doesn't sound right, but I don't know enough about Batman to dispute it, you tell him suspiciously. That means I win, Dave tells you. I give up, you groan. I definitely win, Dave snickers, so you kick him in the ankle. The pair of you easily fall into winding conversations about a whole bunch of unrelated things that goes on so long that Dave ends up walking you all the way to the library door so he can get as many words about the evolutionary history of birds as possible. So meet up at yours at 6:45 or 7ish? Troll me about it at the time, you suggest. Uh-huh. Dave nods. Well, you point vaguely at the library and take a step inside, only Dave moves so he's in your way. Before you can do anything, Dave ducks in close to you and kisses you quickly. He hesitates, and you can almost hear him deciding, fuck it, and he changes to kissing you properly, his hands holding onto the fabric of your magically summoned coat to hold you there. Distantly, some other students yell, "Gay!" at you, and you have to pull away from Dave to glare at them. It's a couple of students over by the statue of Roxy. "Fuck off!" you shout back at them, and you can project far better than they can. That was entertaining. See you tonight. Dave grins and pecks you on the lips once and walks off. You linger outside the library to make sure those idiots aren't going to try anything with Dave, but once he's a good distance away, you head inside. You walk into the library and into your office with a happy sigh. You fall into your chair, unable to keep the giddy smile off of your face. "Someone's happy," Kanaya says with a smile as she opens a box of printer paper. "My romantic life is going amazingly for once. I'm actually really happy," you tell her. "That's great to hear. Goodness knows you've had enough going on lately. I'm glad something is going your way for once." Kanaya nods. "And I have a date tonight," you add eagerly. "Well, if it's all going that well for you, then you can go replace the toner in the photocopier on the 3rd floor. It always manages to stain my clothes," she tells you. "I think my clothes are magic now, so that's actually not a problem for me. I'll do that now," you tell her. "You'd probably want to be out of sight as you unsummon and resummon clothes. You don't want to flash everyone in the library, but you could deal with the toner stain on your magical clothes." "Thank you for volunteering for that job forevermore then," Kanaya says with a cheerful smile that happens to have a lot of fang in it. "Sure," you nod, and open your little supply cupboard to grab the toner. "You are really happy. Let me know the next time you're going to get laid so I can plan favors to ask afterwards." Kanaya laughs. You kind of hate that you're this obvious, but fuck it, you're allowed to be happy for once. Your shift in the library is pretty ordinary. You replace the toner in the photocopier, you reshelve books and answer questions. One guy comes in with a huge spreading mark on him because he has a book overdue all break. The spell that runs that seemingly doesn't kick in during academic breaks, but as soon as you're back in school, it flicks on again. Needless to say, he pays his fine, even if he argues about it for a while. You accompany Kanaya to feed the dangerous books, empty the paper shredders, normal stuff. The time between your shift starting and ending seems to fly by, and before you know it, you're back in your dorm trying to brush your hair into something approaching presentable and checking your bag for the 5th time. Despite the plan being that you would meet Dave, he comes and meets you at your dorm instead. He simultaneously looks really good, but also like he could perhaps not be trying at all. You're pretty sure he is trying, though. He's wearing a thick red hoodie with a cozy thick lining that reminds you of those teddy bear coats that were fashionable for a minute a while back. It's designer, but in a low-key kind of way, and the dark denim jacket over it is pretty carefully picked, but casual enough to be deniable. By contrast, his jeans seem almost painted on for how skinny-fitted they are, but also deliberately ripped in places. His sneakers are white and red in a way that goes exactly with his hoodie, and the white parts of them are sparkling, while, again, trying very hard to look like he's not trying at all. He put effort into looking nice for your date, and it shows. You're a little swept away by it. "You look really nice," you tell him. "Oh, what? This?" Dave shrugs, but he's also very obviously pleased at your comment. You see right through him, all right? You take Dave to the right bus stop, telling him all about your shift in the library. "So you just, feed them meat? Books?" Dave asks in disbelief. "Well, not me. Kanaya does. I don't have access to that area yet, but hopefully I will. I've shown some promise already," you say eagerly. "You're such a nerd," Dave teases you. The bus pulls up and you pay for the fare for both you and Dave. "A gentleman," Dave gasps again and follows you to the seat, holding off his dramatic swoon until you've picked a pair of seats for you to sit in. "So, what's the surprise?" Dave asks, nudging his shoulder against yours. "See, this is the magic of surprises. If I tell you, then it's no longer a surprise," you point out. "Harsh, but fair," Dave nods. You're trying to keep an eye out for your bus stop, but your attention is drawn back to Dave as he subtly tries to slide his hand into yours. Screw subtlety, you're just going to hold your boyfriend's hand. You twine your fingers together with his and squeeze his hand. "It might be desperately uncool to admit this, but I've actually never been on a date before," Dave admits. "Really?" That surprises me, you say, glancing away from the window of the bus to look at him instead. It does? Dave asks. Well, yeah, you went to a school with other people. I would have thought you'd have dated people there. Even if your mom wasn't okay with you bringing anyone home, that doesn't mean you can go out go out and date people after school was out and then ride back home in a taxi or with Solux. Did the people at your school just suck or something? You ask. Why would you assume they sucked? Dave questions you and shifts in his seat so he can look at you straight on. Because you didn't date any of them, obviously, you tell him. Was that not clear somehow? Dave does that half smile where one corner of his mouth pulls up enough that you get just the slightest flash of white teeth. It's a subtle little expression, but it's affectionate and fond. You're so sure that people would want to date me that the only reason you can think of for me not dating anyone before this is that either mom wouldn't let me or they all sucked, he says slowly. Yes, you frown. Dave makes a slightly strangled noise and pulls his hand from yours so he can tug the neck of his hoodie over his face. Now all you can see is shades and hair. He lingers like that for a moment before composing himself and coming back out. They didn't suck. I was the weird albino twin kid who didn't really get to hang out with anyone but his sister and June. Rose is terrifying as fuck, and June is a prank machine, and we were kind of just the weird kids. Also, June was way too gay to date. Well, too gay for me to date. I'm sure other girls could, but you get me. The three of us just kept to ourselves. Probably didn't help that when I was outside of school, I was almost always with a literal demon, although that doesn't seem to put you off. Dave grins at the last part. I guess it didn't, no. Oh, shit, this is our stop. Move your ass, you say and shove him. This date has already devolved to talk of my ass. I see how it is, Dave sighs. Yeah, now move it unless you don't want to get food, you say, and poke him just under the ribs. He squeaks and hurries on. The pair of you manage to get off the bus in time. Go you for successfully navigating public transportation. Emboldened by Dave's earlier actions, you slide your hand into his and pull him along the pavement, and since you're the one who knows where you're going. So, on our earlier topic of conversation before you assaulted my liver with your ninja hands, Dave starts. I couldn't jab your liver with my hands. That's not how anatomy works, you interrupt. Dave ignores you. Did you ever date anyone when you were at school? Now, I've heard you... Excuse me. Did you ever date anyone when you were at school in... Now, I've heard you say the name a lot, but I want to make sure I have the pronunciation correct. I think you said it was... fucking Georgia. Is that correct? Dave asks. He actually yells that one part, which more than startles a man walking by. You're embarrassing to be around? No, I didn't date anyone. I didn't even have friends. I was the weird, not human kid that enough people could sense something was off about me, so everyone avoided me. That last sentence is such a rush that you're pretty sure it doesn't make any kind of sense. And their loss is our gain, Dave shrugs. Oh yeah, it really benefits you. I've never dated anyone that I can remember, and I have no experience here, you scoff. Dude, you're a romance Batman. Catman, Dave tells you dismissively. The two of you round a corner and you point out the food place you'd picked out. Okay, here's where we're getting food, you say. Howling Wolf Taquiera? That's a cool sound. That's the coolest sounding place I've ever heard, and holy shit, I love Mexican food. See? Romance Batman, Dave laughs. He's so excited that he's hurrying ahead and pulling you with him. The two of you pause to look at the menu outside, and you feel Dave tense up. They look like they only do takeout, he says, and shoots you a look as if he thought you might have overlooked that, and maybe this ruined your plans. I know. That's because we're eating elsewhere, you say with a knowing grin. You have this planned out. You thought about this. Dave seems both curious and excited about that. The pair of you order food, and since you're the one taking him out, you pay for him, although he insists that this means that when he takes you out next, he's going to return the favor. When you get your bag of takeout food in hand, Dave watches you curiously. Come on, this way, you say, and lead him down the street. You take him into an alleyway and glance around to see if anyone can see you. This took a turn, Dave laughs. Shh, put that in your bag for a second. I need to hold you, you tell him. Wink, Dave says. Don't just say the word wink at me, you snap. Dave snickers but puts the food away and looks at you expectantly. You have a feeling that your invisibility can cover him if you really try. You step close and wrap your arms around him. He closes his around you, so you squeeze him tight. Neither of you are here. No one else can see you. In fact, you focus on your charm and there's no one observing you either. With a little effort, you flex your wings out to wherever they go and launch the pair of you into the air in an instant. Dave gasps in delight and turns his head to watch the ground whiz by below you. You've already looked up where you're going, and the Google aerial photographs are actually really key to help you know what landmarks to look for. You're heading to Winter Island, appropriate since it is winter now. You're looking for the beach that's south of what Google tells you is Fort Pickering. As carefully as you possibly can, you land both of you on the beach. The cold sand crunches underfoot, and the dark water laps against the island quietly. And stand there for a second, you tell Dave. You put your wings away before you forget. You'd hate for someone else to see them. Then you reach into your bag and pull out a blanket. You'd done a little work researching things online and found a spell that you can write onto a clothing tag to make something water repellent. All you had to do then is carefully stitch it to the edge of the blanket that Rose lent you and then remove it before you give it back to her. With a flick to unroll it, you spread the blanket out on the sand and gesture for Dave to sit down. He does so and watches you curiously. The next thing out of your bag are a bunch of candles that you set around the edge of the blanket. You light each one with that weird fire that you can summon. Then, a pace or two away from the blanket, you even out the sand and put down a little tray, which you fill with logs specifically prepared for fire. They go up in flames very easily. When all that's done, you join Dave, who has now started unpacking the food. I brought drinks too. Hold on. You reach into your bag once more and pull out the apple soda that you got for him and just regular lemonade for you, although you don't hand it to him right away. If I give you this, then you're not going to turn it into an apple vape bomb, are you? Actually, that's kind of what Solix appearing and disappearing smells like, so I guess at least I'd be used to it, you muse. Carcat, I have some manners. No bombs on dates, except for how bomb I look. No other bombs. Well, okay, no. You also look bomb, so that's the maximum number, Dave promises. That's good enough for you, so you hand the drink over. Dave takes a moment to distribute food between the both of you, as well as the near-useless cutlery that all fast food comes with. You're quickly regretting a burrito as date food because there's no way to look appealing while eating one you have not, and you're quickly regretting a burrito as date food because if there's a way to look appealing while eating one, you haven't found it yet. This is really cool, not gonna lie, Dave says in between bites. You like it? You ask hopefully. Romance Batman tier for sure, Dave nods. Dave sips his apple soda for a moment and looks out at the water. He's so pretty in the firelight. Well, outside of it too, but certainly here. It's kind of interesting, actually. The fire is that grayscale fire that you make, which you suppose is holy fire. The light has weird visual effects that's pretty evident with no other real light source around. Your skin has this soft red warmth to it, ever so slightly. It's not as extreme as when you press a finger to a lit light bulb, but it's the same kind of effect, as if your blood is glowing a little. On Dave, it makes his already ghost-pale skin glow whiter, in a way that puts you in mind of white clothing under UV lights. But again, not quite that strong. You hate Georgia, Dave says. I was always so subtle about that. How did you know? You say flatly. Shove a burrito in it. Since I know that Georgia isn't the answer, is there anywhere in the world you would like to go? Dave asks curiously. I don't know, you say slowly. I don't know where I've already been. That's kind of cool, though, in a way. You can see places for the first time twice, Dave points out. I guess. Jade's Island was really cool. I think I'd want to go somewhere without many churches, or churches to the god I'm supposed to be working for, at least. Lots of India is meant to be beautiful. That could be nice to see. What about you? You ask. I think I'd really tourist it up. Go all the places everyone says you have to see and really see if they're worth it. Like if you had a year, top 100 spots you can't miss. I'd try to hit them all, Dave says thoughtfully. That's definitely cheating the question, but I'll let it go, you tell him. Dave doesn't seem bothered by his flagrant rule bending. Did Solix tell you about the dream I had? You ask. He mentioned briefly that you did a bunch of fortune-telling things that were helpful, including a dream, but he was kind of late on the details. Why? He says. I got a memory back, but it was related to someone that has something to do with whatever he's dealing with. I was around in World War I. I'm really fucking old. I keep trying not to think about it, but I can't stop, you admit. Wait, is this date creepy based on that? Shit, should you be here? You are suddenly, very silently panicking. I don't think so, Dave shrugs, licking salsa off his thumb. What? You say. Well, your species works like demons do, right? They have a brief period after being made where they're naive about some things, but they're still mentally adults. They're just inexperienced. Solix was unusual growing up the way he did. Most of them don't. You're just an adult, same as Solux has been for years and years, and same as I am, Dave tells you. But I'm so much older, you reiterate. Alright, let's argue that. You don't look or act any older than me. You're an adult. You have adult thought processes and that shit. Your body is an adult. You're an adult. But you don't really remember anything before the event, and I do. I have more memories than you. Does that make me older than you? Does that make you, like, what, 6? You're comparing species all wrong, Dave insists. I guess I can see that, you say uneasily. No, look, if you were a human man who was 100 or some shit, like dating me, then yeah, it'd be weird shit on both ends. But we're not comparable species like that. Now, is it weird that you've lost a bonkers amount of memories? Yeah, for sure. But you're here now, right? Dave tells you gently. I guess. I know my life wasn't great, but it was still mine. No one has the right to rip that away from me, you say, frowning at your burrito. Yeah, but you can't control that. You get now, and now is pretty great. Aside from sometimes being a bird and being kidnapped, but we're all together. You and Solix are dating. We're dating. You're BFFs with Rose, which is low-key terrifying for me, given all the embarrassing things about me that she could tell you. We're at a cool as shit magic school, and I get to be on a date with you in this cool beach in winter eating my favorite kind of food. Doesn't that beat being with your awful maker and remembering all the terrible shit he did to you? Dave asks, passionately waving his hands around as he talks. Probably, yeah. I don't know. But I would rather be here with you right now than anywhere else right now, you say, confident in that last part. Ooh, smooth, very smooth. Dave nods approvingly. Sometimes I'm okay. Since we're doing questions, what is it like having a twin? You ask curiously. I don't know. She's my sister. I love her, but I'm not sure how a twin would be different from a regular sister. I think we're also different enough that Mom never did that joint present thing unless it was for food or something like a cake, you know? I think other people might be annoyed at sharing friends like Solux and June, but we both have different kinds of relationships with them, so we're all fine, Dave says with a shrug. I guess I'm envious of that. I spent so much time alone, and you had Rose, Solix, and June. Having a twin, especially one with a relationship as good as yours, seems like having a built-in friend, you say wistfully. There were so many lonely hours between school where you were shunned and in your empty apartment building for people who lost their memories, where people either didn't talk to you or didn't like you. It'd be hell growing up alone like that. Wait, shit, that was really insensitive. Sorry. Dave blurts out frantically, his face a rictus of panic. No, it was, but now it's better, you know. I have friends. I, through some weird twist of fate, have not one, but 2 boyfriends. I had holiday break and a New Year's with people. It's incredible. You're almost glowing with delight just thinking about it, and you have to pay attention to yourself to be sure that you're not suddenly haloed up. Actually, now that you're thinking about it, you wonder if that happened when you were with Solix last night. Man, you're breaking my heart here. You absolutely deserve all that stuff, and I hate the thought that you didn't have it before, Dave tells you gently. He's so sweet sometimes. I don't know. I just like what I have now, I guess. Even though I don't remember a lot before, and let's be honest, there's a lot about now that we don't know about. But even so, I like being with you, I like our friends, I like classes, you say. Nerd, Dave interrupts with a grin. You're just a delinquent, that's not my problem. You tell him, as if you're looking down on his bad behavior. In reality, you've mostly just accepted you've mostly just accepted the things that Dave does and the shit he pulls, even if it's setting off a Coca-Cola explosion in class. Oh, we can be the fabled nerd-jock romance that I've heard so much about, Dave muses. You're not even slightly a jock, you snort. Hey, I skateboard. That's a sport, Dave protests. It's a magic, evil, possessed skateboard that commits crimes against nature and physics, you insist. It's not possessed, Dave mumbles in protest. You can't help but laugh that that's the only part he had any objection or defense to. The pair of you spend the next hour picking your way through food and assorted sweet treats that you brought along with you as you both talk about your past, the differences between his life and yours. It's nice, remarkably normal in terms of how dates are supposed to go. You spend time with each other and get to know each other better. Sure, you're close. You've been through a bunch of hugely emotional and traumatic things with him. You've changed bodies around him, but it's nice also just getting to know the music he was into at 13, the start of the webcomic he draws, little historical details that you should know about someone you're dating. It's sweet and wonderfully normal. This is how other people go about their lives. They go on dates and don't get turned into peacocks or rescue astronauts. After everything, you're dying for some normal. When the pair of you are done with food and the cold has got a bit too much, you pack up all your things, taking care to leave the beach as nice as you found it. Then you walk back to the main part of Salem, hand in hand. Winter Island is somewhat of a sanctuary, and you think there's camping areas that get used in the more temperate months. Right now, though, it's dark, and you two are alone. This is kind of like home, how dark the sky is in the forest. You can make out a lot of the stars, you know, Dave says, pointing upwards. I don't know a lot about the stars, which is probably going to bite me in the ass when I have to do astronomy shit more, but I just haven't learned them, you admit. The stars are pretty, though, little pinpricks of light in the dark sky. Of course, a lot will be drowned out by the ambient light of nearby Salem, but you can still see some. The moon is also really dark right now, just a sliver in the sky. Knowing what's up there, you look away from it with a shudder, worried that it might look back at you somehow. Mom did teach us once. I think that's the North Star, Dave says, pointing with the hand that's not holding yours. You move closer, trying to see the line of his arms to which star he's pointing out, but you're not sure which he means. You know it's meant to be the brightest, but they all look about as equally as bright as you. Or to you. You lean a little closer, trying to see what he means, and you're surprised when Dave leans in and kisses the side of your face. You're so caught off guard that you don't know how to react, but at least in your favor it seems that Dave enjoys your flustered reaction. He just laughs and leads you further down the dark road back to the mainland. Why is this even called an island? There's a road the whole way here, Dave wonders. I guess it's the bridge that's artificial and whatever supports it is too, you guess. But then it's not an island anymore. You ruined a perfectly good island is what you did. You gave it Dave frowns. Access to the mainland, you suggest? Yeah, that, Dave nods. You squeeze his hand and walk together. The conversation goes down one of those weird rabbit holes that your conversations with Dave often go down, where every change seemed sensible at the time, but the end result is that you get to the bus stop, you'd gone from another get-to-know-you question to passionately debating who would win in a fight between this fictional character and another. When you decide a winner, it's then who would win that, or who would win between that person and another person. Alright. But all I'm saying is you can't claim Aquaman would win because he could summon Kaiju. Certainly not in a fight against Dr. Manhattan. And even if he could, the dude is basically a god, Dave argues. He absolutely could summon Kaiju. You insist. They're not fish, Dave protests. Neither are whales and dolphin, but he does that and Kaiju come from the water, you counter. Alright, I'll grant you that for some reason, Aquaman's mind control extends to anything living in the water, including mammals because reasons, I guess, but Kaiju are from another dimension. Why would we even assume he could speak their language? Dave asks. Are you proposing some universal fish language exists, but can't apply it to Kaiju? Wait, no. Better question. If Aquaman could control mammals in the water like whales, can he control people who are in the sea? You wonder. What? No. Dave frowns. He leans past you and waves at your bus as it pulls closer. I challenge you to give me one reason why he can do whales, but can't do people, you say. You get on the bus and pay for both of you to go back again. As you're doing so, you can hear Dave falteringly start and stop a few arguments. I kind of want to say that, humans aren't aquatic, but it's hard to say what makes something aquatic. Are Selkies aquatic, mermaids? How sentient would you need to be to resist Aquaman's control? And then if that's the case, the lines between those species and humans are pretty goddamn blurry. I can't really think of a hard reason why whales yes, but humans in water no, so all I can conclude is Aquaman can control all sentient life, but keeps his fuckery to the sea for reasons only known to him, which is terrifying, and I'm going to say that Aquaman wins, if only because that level of self-control means we don't know what other powers he's holding back, Dave says in horror. Thank you, and I will take that win. You nod. The ride back to the university is more of the same kind of delightful nonsense, but Dave is a complete gentleman and walks you to your door, which is entirely unneeded as you both live in the same building. He gives you an entirely proper kiss goodbye and then goes up a few floors because you live in the same building. Still, it's sweet. You open the door and let yourself in. Rose is sat in an armchair reading a book, which she lowers below eye level as you step inside. How was your date? She asks. You push the door shut behind you and pull your shoes off, or more accurately, make them go away. It was really great. It was so great. You sigh, so overwhelmed that you can hardly bring words to describe it. Dave is so attractive to you that sometimes you can't think right. He makes you nervous a bit, you get butterflies, but tonight was exciting, sure, but it was really also easy. The conversation was never forced or awkward, even if it steered a little into the kind of get-to-know-you questions that dates often have. It was natural. You can feel the silly smile on your face as you reach into your bag. I've still got your blanket. I'll have to wash it before I give it back to you, you tell her. I suddenly do not want to know how your date went, and I'm considering stabbing you with a needle, Rose says sharply. What? Why? We went to the beach. I just made sure it wouldn't get wet from the water and the sand with a removable spell, but there's probably still some sand in the blanket even though I shook it out. I didn't think you'd want it back like that, you say in alarm. Oh. Well, if it's just that, then continue. That would be lovely, thanks, Rose says with a nod. Why did you threaten to stab me for... Wait, what'd you think I was doing on your blanket? You ask her suspiciously. I'm sure I wouldn't know. I'm glad you had a nice time, though, Rose says and returns to her book. When are you going on that date with Kanaya, then? You challenge her. First of all, that is none of your business or anyone else's. Besides, we're friends, and I don't even know if she likes me like that. I haven't even broached the subject of vampires dating humans. I know some don't like to. From my entirely unrelated research, stop looking at me in that tone of voice, Rose says, glaring at you for looking at her like she's an idiot, which she is, so you are entirely justified here. She likes you, you tell her bluntly. It's complex, and that's only your opinion, Rose insists. Yeah, if you wanted a real opinion on it, you could, ask her. Yes, you could ask her, you point out. Honestly, you get 2 boyfriends and suddenly you're the romance expert, Rose tuts. I was a romance expert before that. Also, I don't think that Dave and Solix should be considered a standard model to base anything off of, ever, you say with a grimace. You love/hate those 2, but they are weird. That is true, Rose concedes. So, are you going to ask her? You ask, back on topic. I have to leave now, for unrelated reasons, Rose says hastily and gets out of her chair and into her room as fast as she can go, without going so fast that you can accuse her of actually running away. Chicken, you call after her. Not that it'll do you any good. Her door is shut. You go back to your own room and sit down at your desk. I'm not expecting you to reply right away. I know you're off doing something mysterious and ominous. I just went on a date with Dave, and I was wondering if Kizmi wait, how do you pluralize that? If people in Blackrom relationships go on dates. At the risk of referring to demon porn again, it seemed like there were conventions of those relationships which would suggest dates of some kind, maybe, but I don't know what they'd be. Competitive magic? Or maybe you're not always there at the same time for a thing like that. Maybe it's something you'd come back to. Like a ceiling-suspended hammock full of glitter, theoretically speaking. Anyway, we could do a date thing if that's something we do. I wonder if we did that before or not, though I think I was probably trying to be subtle because heaven or whatever, and that sucks if that was the case. You're an infuriating person, and I sometimes feel like I'm allergic to your presence, but that doesn't mean that you don't deserve romance. As much as I like what we currently have of I see things for you and then blurt out a special phrase in demonic that I'd been practicing and then surprise sex, that's great, but you deserve special. Apparently I can't edit past messages. I hate this program. That sounded way too sappy even for me. I need to balance that out somehow. You're a jerk and I hate your face. Or I could just stop typing. That's the thing I'll do. Later, try not to die when you're off being mysterious. Well, that was embarrassing. You're not naive enough to hope that Solix might not comment on it, or at least will refrain from mocking you. Oh well. You could do some class reading for a while about the ways to tell that you're being observed, but then you head to bed again. What's in the box, Rose? You ask as you walk along. That's for me to know, and both of us to find out later, Rose answers cryptically. That's not how words, sentences, or indeed time works, you tell her with faux cheer. Rose directs you up a hill, steep enough that you have to really lean into it to keep grip on the ground. Hey, so how's the whole other god thing going? You ask out of habit and glance around. I find it so amusing that you can't say my patron's name for fear of attracting attention, either from him or from your own side, Rose snickers. I'm glad my terrors amuse you, you retort. Rose clambers up a few large rocks, and you contemplate getting your wings out just to fly up there, but the trees are so close that it'd be hard for you to do. Fuck it, just climb. you know as well as I do, I'm not meant to be doing any of this, and I'd rather not attract more attention than I already do, you huff as you haul yourself up to look at her. Look, you can hardly see any human civilization from here. Rose smiles as she leans against a tree and looks out the rolling hillside. I'm all the more glad I arrived with a drink, you complain, although that drink is long since gone. You don't need a drink, she points out, and is unintimidated by your glare. You walk to the tree and brush by some foxgloves as you do. At once you pause. Something tingles up the back of your neck. An awareness. Rose, do you feel... You start. Yes, it's working. Don't think about it. Just pay attention to what's happening now. Look, there. Rose says and points. Down in the valley on the other side of the hill are trees. But impossible trees. It's summer right now, but those trees down there are frozen solid. The place glows and shimmers with ethereal light, and an instinct to pull away from them builds inside you. Is that winter? The Fey land of winter? What's it doing here? I know it moves, but it doesn't usually show up anywhere in the Americas, you gasp. A rare occurrence that I managed to foresee. There's a wedding going on, and I have a favor I need to pay. Rose explains and starts to head down the hill. Whoa, you're aware that my ability to protect you in somewhere like winter is very limited. It's not my realm, and a lot of my holy magic doesn't have the effect it should do there. If you make some kind of bargain there, I can't get you out of it, you warn as you hurry after her. I'm aware, but I'm paying a price, and I know they'll want to accept it. All they have to do is hold on to this box for me, Rose says. What's so special about the box they need to hide it in a different realm? You demand. Her coyness is an endearing character trait usually, but right now it's downright frustrating. I need to make sure that nothing that affects the world can affect it. It's important. I need this for things to go as they should, she tells you. I'm already trying to stop, you protest. It's not that. Now, be quiet and trust me. I need you to pay attention so you can remember this, Rose insists. You don't want to be quiet. You want to know what's going on. Unfortunately, you're too close to winter now to risk drawing more attention to the both of you. You grit your teeth and follow her. This time you do shake your wings out and let your halo shine. The Fae don't like visitors, to be dishonest, and you don't want to be seen as hiding what you are. Still, the feeling of being watched prickles over you, a feeling that mounts as you both get closer to winter. At the border, Rose is stopped by a man on a white stag, his skin glittering with frost and eyes solid black. You and Rose both bow in respect, and Rose hands over a slip of paper to him. Curious, the Fae on the stag takes it and reads, his eyebrows climbing in clear surprise at whatever message Rose left inside. All that to bury that here? He asks. Yes, is that agreeable to you? No one else but us are allowed to remove this box. Is that acceptable? Rose asks. The man on the stag eyes Rose warily, and then his scrutiny falls to you. You itch under his stare, and under the weight of those hidden within the trees around you. You could fly out of here and return to heaven, but Rose, not so much. You have to stay with her. You pay first, the Fey man tells her. Rose nods politely and steps closer. The Fey man dismounts his stag and reaches for her, his index and middle fingers outstretched. This is done for the exact length of time I specified, no longer, and I mean that time in absolute Earth time, not time in winter, she reminds him. I would not try to cheat you. Surely you wouldn't accuse me of such, the man says, his tone warning. Certainly not, Rose agrees. The man moves forward with his hand, and you wince as his fingers touch Rose's actual eyeballs. Then as soon as he started, he pulls back. He gestures to the ground with a polite sweep of his hand, and Rose lets out a shaky breath. Karkat, if you would be so kind as to dig a hole and bury this box for me, I would be very grateful. Rose breathes, sounding shaky. Are you okay? You hiss, coming closer to her. As you look, there is nothing visibly different about her, but you can feel something about her eyes. I'm fine. Just take this and dig, Rose says, and pulls a shovel out of her bag of holding. You don't dare argue with her in this state or in a place like this, so all you can do is take the shovel and drive it into the frozen ground. You're thankful that the box isn't big, only about the size of a shoebox. You dig a hole and bury it. Not deep, and when you're done you grab a few nearby stones and mark out your sign on top. It's not a lot, but it's something. When the mark is buried, the Fae on the stag nods and melds back into the frozen trees. You take Rose's hand in yours and start walking. We need to talk about whatever it was you just did, you hiss at her. Karkat, stay focused. Rose warns you. No, you focus. You open your eyes and frown at your bedroom ceiling. What was that? Sitting up, you rub your eyes and try to figure out what was going on in the dream. Car cat? Rose bursts through your door and scares you half to death in doing so. Jesus fuck, you yell, and Rose quickly covers her ears. You take a moment to recover yourself, and Rose rubs at her ears and flexes her jaw to try to get them to pop. You feel kind of guilty about that. I understand now. I was using you as an observer so I could find that vision again. We need to go to Winter, Rose insists. Wait, but you thought this was a vision of the future. I said it seemed like the past. If you think it's the future, then why are we going there now? We don't have the box, you point out. I know that, but time can flow weirdly in those places. We have to go there. I have to know what's in that box, Rose says fervently. You still don't know? You ask with a frown. She was carrying it all that time. No, I avoided questioning the dream so I could just observe it, but whatever it was, I don't know. I do know that I gave up my vision for 5 years from that date to buy the right to store that box there. Rose grins. Wait, but you lost your vision in the event. Did you somehow sell something you knew you were going to lose? And again, how old were you? None of this makes sense, you say with a groan. Your head hurts just thinking about it. I know it doesn't make sense. That's why we need to go, Rose urges you. But it's not like Winter has a fixed location, or that humans even know where it is. It's not like hopping a teleporter between here and your mom's house. How would we even find it? Plus, we have school, and I have work, you point out. I know all that, but... Look, if I researched online and managed to find a report about where Winter is at the moment, and you can negotiate time off to work, will you come with me? I get the feeling that if I needed you there then I'll need you when we go this time, Rose pleads. This is a stupid, dangerous idea, and if you had any sense, you'd say no. The thing is, you know Rose will go with or without your help. If you go with her, then maybe you might be able to get her to be at least a little sensible. If nothing else, you might be able to defend her. You fall back on your bed and cover your face with your pillow, resisting the temptation to scream. Fine, you say, pulling your head out from under it. Yes, thank you, Rose says gleefully, and hurries off before you can change your mind. What have you gotten yourself into? You check your phone and you have a message from Solux several hours after you sent yours. Surprisingly, he's online now. That was a whole lot of stuff you just made me read. But dates are a thing, but I've never been on with you. And I know you'll feel weird about that, but it makes sense if you remember everything. Also, since you promised, I have a favor to ask. Let me know when you're next online. I'm awake now. Oh, cool. I was just about to go, but this works. What do you need me to do? Dave might be a little off soon. Not sleeping right. Nightmares, that kind of thing. Go to sleep with him. Or go sleep with him. Sleep with him. I meant actually sleep, but I'm pretty sure he'd be happy to do both. Just maybe don't tell him I asked you. He'll probably feel bad about it. Does he usually have a lot of nightmares? He seemed fine before. Not usually. Sometimes, but not loads. But something has changed that's going to affect that, and since you haven't just said that... And since you haven't just said that, it's because you're not there, it's something else. And you can't confirm or deny because reasons, so I'm not asking, just thinking aloud. I know thinking is hard for you. That's okay. Get fucked. I did. Alright, I'm going. I'll talk to Dave tomorrow. Don't die. Breakfast the next morning shows you that Solux might have a point on the subject of Dave. He looks exhausted. He slumped over the table, barely paying attention to the cereal that he mindlessly poured out for himself. Didn't sleep well, you ask. Slept like shit, Dave nods, and reaches for his coffee. Bad dreams? Oh, bad dreams? I've been having a lot of those since I've been back here, but I'm not exactly surprised about that. Jade trails off and pets Beck. The staff have tried to keep him out of the cafeteria, but you can't really keep a magical teleporting hellhound out of anywhere he wants to be, and seeing as he's pretty well behaved, they've given up and allowed him to stay. Yeah man, Nightmare City. Maybe it's something in the water here. We should sue. Dave jokes, albeit a little weakly. What kind of nightmares? Dreams seem to be somewhat important of a factor at the moment. Maybe yours are useful too. Tell us, Rose urges him. If nothing else, talking about them might make you feel better. Sometimes looking at a nightmare when it's daytime makes it seem less shitty. You suggest. Excuse me. I doubt it's useful, but whatever. Dave shrugs. He has a long drink of his coffee and seems to consider where to start. Oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness. It's just a lot of little nightmares, I guess. Like, I'll go to sleep, dip into REM sleep or whatever, and have a nightmare, wake up and repeat. He starts to explain. That doesn't sound good for your sleep cycle, Jean winces. My sleep cycle is busted. The wheels are all bent and the pedals don't go around anymore. It's total write-off. Dave agrees. So what kind of thing are they? You prompt before the tangent really gets going. Dave frowns and jabs at his cereal with a spoon for a moment or two before he starts to talk. Like, me and Solux are walking down this dark hallway, and I know we're being watched. I can feel it. It's always just behind me, but whenever I look, there's nothing there. Whatever's watching me is just always out of sight or moves too fast. I'm trying to get out and get away, but the mapping of the place doesn't make any sense, and then I somehow lose Solux. We get separated somehow, and I'm just running trying to find him, and I keep going until I wake up all freaked out, Dave says and shudders. I've had stress nightmares like that, when you're running from something, but it's never fast enough. Jade agrees. I also get these ones where I'm being attacked, and I'm on this building that's on fire. The smoke and fire is so thick that I can't see who's attacking me, and I keep getting cuts, and it feels so real. Legitimately, when I wake up, I have to check that I'm not bleeding all over, Dave says, and unconsciously rubs his arm as if to soothe the wound that isn't there. And this other one, where there's this puppet or doll or whatever, like a ventriloquist doll or something, and it does that thing that monsters in horror movies do sometimes, where it's perfectly still, but the moment you look away even a little, it gets closer and closer. I always wake up just before it gets to me, but ugh, Dave shakes his head. That's horrifying. I'm sorry you have to deal with that, Jade says and squeezes his shoulder. Beck moves closer so he can rest his head in Dave's lap, and it seems to calm Dave down a little to pet him. That doesn't sound like it's a super helpful dream, but it does sound awful. I hope you won't have any more, Rose says gently. Yeah, you shouldn't be dealing with that, June agrees. Her voice is quiet and unhappy. I could see about trying to send Beck around to guard you if you like, but he does tend to want to come back to me, Jade says. Well, or I could come stay with you. You're used to Solux being around, so maybe having someone else nearby would stop you having nightmares. You suggest, pleased that this has come up organically. Know what? Sure. Worst case scenario, I still have a nightmare, but I also have a straight-up hottie in my bed. Dave nods in agreement. Well, between you, me, and possibly Beck, whoever this straight-up hottie is, it's going to be crowded in there. You snort. The hottie is you, Carcat. You are the hottie, Dave informs you. Debatable. You need more peer-reviewed evidence for that, you tell him. I excuse myself on account of gay, Rose says, raising her hand as if she has a question in class. Oh man, do you remember that piece of shit teacher in school? June cackles and Rose immediately cracks up. Wait, who? What? You ask. There was a gym teacher in our school who was all homophobic, and Mom was trying to get her kicked from the school because of it, and to get her out of gym, and this motherfucker, she kept writing sick notes in for Rose, since she said homosexuality is a sickness, and then Rose was still too gay to be included in class. It lasted like 3 weeks before the teacher ended up leaving, Dave explains. Wow, that sucks, but I'm glad your mom was cool at least, you say. It was fine. I never exactly enjoyed gym in the first place, so I was hardly missing out, Rose assures you. You're a family of nerds, you accuse her. Hey, we talked about this, Dave argues. Breakfast evolves into a recounting of the debate you and Dave had about his relative nerdiness and jockiness. The point is that it seems to cheer Dave up and push whatever lingering traces of nightmares he still had in his mind away fully. The rest of the day is classes, and given that it's your magical languages class today, it's pretty natural for you to spend time with Dave in the evening so you can work out what the hell you're meant to be doing for this new assignment. Of course, after a while, you just end up watching a movie together on his sofa. You don't have to stay with me tonight, Dave says as the credits roll. I know. I want to help, though, you tell him quietly. Dave is obviously pretty tired from the lack of sleep lately, so it's not really hard to convince him to go to bed. You magic yourself up some sleepwear when Dave's off getting changed. He comes back out to get you with his shades nestled in his hair. You can see the dark circles under his eyes, and you're determined to put a stop to them. Going to bed with Dave in the most non-innuendo-laden way possible is nice, actually. It's not like it's the first time you've slept near him, what with Jade's Island, and sleeping near him when you were a variety of birds recently. It's absolutely bonkers that you can think that sentence and it actually has meaning in your life. Dave's bed is against the right-hand wall in the room, which of course looks a lot like yours. There's another ferret hammock type thing in the corner, but you can tell from the way it's hanging that Solix hasn't snuck in to be there. Still, the room shows a lot of signs of Solix's occupancy. His things are scattered around the place, and he very much seems to treat Dave's room as an extension of his own. Part of you wants to have a look at Solix's room itself, because you are equal parts curious and tempted to mess with his things when he's not here. Still, Dave is the reason that you're here now. Dave wedges himself up against the wall in his bed, and though you want to say that he's just making room for you, part of you thinks that it might be that having his back to the wall is more defensible. For all that you worry this might be awkward, Dave drops to sleep almost immediately. You guess he must be tired. It's not so easy for you to sleep, and you end up messing about on your phone for a few minutes before you really try. You know, blue screen light or whatever is meant to be bad for going to sleep, but you don't care. Trollian makes your phone buzz silently in your hand as you open it. It's from Rose. Do you think we'll dream together again? It's close to the new moon, so my theory is that whatever is keeping our memories from us is weaker at these times. But I wonder if it'll work at this range. I mean, you say that, but I'm only a few floors above you. Dave and Solix's dorm isn't even that far away from ours, laterally. I'm sure there's some kind of range or whatever this is, but it seems arbitrarily small, doesn't it? Or that seems arbitrarily small, doesn't it? I guess wherever it stopped would probably be an arbitrary line. Aren't all lines arbitrary? There's a line of moral questioning there that I'm not entirely happy with, but also not willing to get into at this hour. Sensible. I've been looking into the current location of Winter, by the way. So far, it seems like it's in the UK, most likely. I would say keep me updated, but I'm sure you will. I'm gonna get some sleep now. Night. You put your phone down on Dave's bedside, then realize that your charger isn't there, so you shrug and put it back in its charm instead. In the now dark room, you cuddle up to Dave's sleeping form and try to sleep. It's always harder for you to drift off, and indeed, you're only just getting there when Dave looks like he's starting to have a nightmare. His eyebrows draw together and his breathing starts to pick up. As soon as you notice it, you rub soothing circles on his side, and it seems to fade. He doesn't even wake up. Not long after, you drift into sleep too. You walk around looking at everything, trying earnestly to take it all in. It's all somewhat familiar, of course, but you're seeing it as yourself for the first time, so it's simultaneously new to you as well. You shift through forms a little as you travel, but settle on being humanoid with wings for now. It feels nice. You think you like your wings. They're pretty. It occurs to you that you haven't seen your own face yet. Perhaps you don't look like your maker. You just assumed you did. Luckily, there's a stream nearby running along idyllically, because this is heaven, so why wouldn't it be idyllic? Leaning over the water, you get a look at your own face as your reflection looks up back at you. You do sort of look like him. You're not quite identical. You're a little softer looking. Maybe it's the shape of your face or your expression. You don't know. Where to now? You stand up and see there's a man on the top of the hill near the river by himself. He doesn't have wings, so you decide to put yours away to match him, and go to see who he is. Hello, you say brightly as you make your way over there. The man looks over and doesn't really react much. Cancri, he says flatly. That's my maker. I'm Karkat, you tell him, and the man seems surprised. I didn't know he made anyone, he remarks and looks at you assessingly. It wasn't that long ago, you assure him. You wouldn't want this guy to feel bad for not knowing. How long ago? How old are you, Karkat? The man asks. A little under an hour, I think, you tell him with a little thought as to the time. Oh, wow, the man says in surprise. He leans back against the tree for a moment and watches you, seeming to come to some kind of conclusion. Why did he make you? He asks. You frown as you think. Your memories before you were you are a little fuzzy, but you can get to some of the closest ones. He wanted to be better, I think. He made me to help with that. I don't know, though. Or I don't know how, though. I hope I help, you say uncertainly. You're not really sure what Cancri needs you for, but he made you, so of course you'll help. You want to help him? The man asks curiously and pats the grass by him. You sit down, too. Yeah, I really want to help. I'm a throne, too, so I'm supposed to help and protect people, make sure Earth is perfect like it's supposed to be, you tell him, really excited about the idea now that you're talking about it. Earth is far from perfect. Have you seen it? Or has anyone told you about it? The man asks, raising an eyebrow. Not yet, but I'm sure Cancri is going to tell me everything. I wouldn't want to screw things up because I don't know what I'm doing, you tell him, and then have the vague sensation that maybe you shouldn't have phrased it like that. Come with me, the man says and pulls you to your feet. You follow him eagerly to the edge of the river. I just realized that I didn't ask your name. That was probably really rude, you realize. My friends call me Signless, he explains and kneels down. Are we friends? You ask in a shocked whisper, too stunned to speak too loudly. Just come here. Come on, sit down. Signless laughs softly and gestures for you to sit. You do so happily. I want to show you a little trick so you can see what's going on Earth. It's almost impossible to block. Believe me, I'd know. Signless says and starts to teach you. It's a complicated little spell that relies on a pure desire to see things on Earth that you have the motivation to better. It relies on selflessness and a purity of will. Surely that makes it an easy spell and you pick it up quick enough, but you're not going to say that. Maybe you just have a knack for this. This is Earth, Signless says and casts the spell over the water of the river. You see a small child on the street looking up as people pass by. At first you're excited to see a real human, but your heart sinks when you see that he's plainly unhappy. What's wrong? You ask. He's hungry and tired and cold, Signless tells you quite simply. That's not right. That can't be right. Why doesn't he go inside? You wonder. If he did that, then he could sleep and eat. Maybe the other way around, but still. Maybe he's lost. But people are walking past him, so surely someone will know where he has to go soon. He doesn't have anywhere to live, Signless tells you. But he's right by a building. Couldn't he live there? You ask and point to it. He could, but he's not allowed because he doesn't own it, because he doesn't have any money to own anything. Your new friend tells you patiently. With each new thing Signless tells you, you have to ask why. Why doesn't he have any money? Also, what is money? Why would no one else help him? How can someone just not have somewhere to live or something to eat? It doesn't make sense. As Signless keeps explaining things to you, it seems that Earth is just deeply unfair, almost like it's been designed to be that way. Then we have to do something, you insist finally. Oh, Signless says, yes, help or something. We should go tell Cancri and all the other angels. They have to know about this, you say as you get to your feet. They already know, Signless tells you from the ground. You freeze. That doesn't make sense. People on Earth are hurt and the angels don't do anything about it? I don't understand, you say helplessly. Yeah, I don't either. Signless whispers and looks at the river again. Carcat! Kincri's voice snaps at you, and you feel a very strange tug in your chest, making you stumble towards him, although he's not that far away. What are you doing? Kincri demands. You told me to go outside so you could talk to Cronus, so I went outside and had a look around. That's not important. You say in a rush. You don't get to decide what is and is not important, Cancri says, chastising you and making you wince out of reflex. Sorry, but Signless was... You start again, but Cancri once more doesn't let you finish. Signless? That's not your name, Cancri says sternly, looking up at the man by the river this time. God forbid I call myself something I picked instead of something my father picked for me. The only other person who gets to call me that is my mom, and since you lot took me, I've not been able to see her, so it's Signless. Thanks, Signless says flatly. You've no idea what they're talking about, but Cancri's mouth is a thin and unimpressed line. I've met your creation. I like him. Why did you make him, then? Signless asks, nodding towards you. You don't know what else to do, so you wave back a little. Cancri pushes your hand down to stop you. I wasn't good enough, so I decided to improve myself by taking out all the parts of me that were making me worse and holding me back, Cancri says. Wait, you're made of all the things he hated about himself? Does that mean he hates you too? You were made to make him better, but you thought you'd be helping, not just something he discarded. Something horrible starts to weigh heavy in your chest. Funny, you were made as some homage to what I was meant to be without the corrupting influence of humans or whatever, and I like him far more than I like you. He actually wants to help people, Signless says with a gesture to you. You shove your own feelings down for the moment and focus on what's important. Cancri, I saw humans down on Earth. They're suffering. It's terrible. We have to do something, you insist. He needs to know as soon as possible. Cancri sighs deeply, pinching the bridge of his nose. It is so much better not feeling that directly. Now I can think clearly, Cancri says, his voice tight. How does not caring about people make you better? Signless asks, but Cancri ignores him. We need to do something, you remind Cancri. Absolutely not, Cancri says with a shake of his head. What? But no, you don't understand. You start, but Cancri interrupts you. Quiet, he says. No, orders you. Your jaw snaps shut so fast it hurts, and Cancri fixes you with a sharp look. The audacity you have as my own creation to tell me that I do not understand something when you are a mere hour old is quite honestly astounding. I am deeply grateful to finally be free of that nagging drive that's embodied itself in you, and now my fervent hope is that with you as an external force, I can finally correct this flaw and make you behave properly. I, of course, understand that conditions on Earth are less than ideal for some people down there. I am well aware. But you are not the Almighty. You do not know what plans are in motion, and you will not question it, Kankri tells you, and your jaw unsticks as he gives you an expectant look. What plan would need children to starve? You ask slowly. You're questioning the plan again, Kankri says, his voice stiff. No, I just want to understand, you say carefully. It doesn't matter. The fact it is happening is part of the plan, and you do not need to know the plan. It could be anything. They could need to be that way so that someone greater can be motivated to do righteous things, Kankri explains. You consider that for a second. Wouldn't a good person do the right thing without needing to see innocent people in horrible pain? And why do those people have to be like that to motivate one person? What did they do wrong? And what happens to them? How do we know that we're not supposed to be motivated to help them? Couldn't us fixing things make humans decide to be better too? Or you're cut off again as your voice fails you. Kankri ordered you to be quiet partway through that. You're going to be a lot of work, aren't you? Come on, he sighs and pulls you away. You look over your shoulder at Signless as your maker drags you off. You wish you could stay there. At least he explained things to you. Kankri takes you back to your house and shuts the door behind you both. Cronus looks around at the sound of the door, and you pause when you see him. You're aware of Kankri's feelings for him, but none of those feelings are in you. Still, he's a seraphim and more important than you, right? You should probably watch yourself around him. You found him, then, Cronus notes, glancing at you. Yes, talking to the sun, of all people. He's already going on and on about humans and questioning every little thing I say, Kankri groans. Well, that's why you took him out. Now you don't have to deal with that inside your head all the time. You purified yourself. Cronus croons at him and holds his arms open as he stands up. Kankri sighs tiredly and rests his head against Cronus's chest. Wait, you made me to help make you better, but are you saying I'm really just all the things you wanted to get rid of? You ask him. I didn't do this without reason. You're not supposed to question me either. Yours doesn't question you, does he? Kankri frowns as he looks up at Cronus. No, mine knows better, but Karkat is an hour old. He'll learn. Cronus nods. I hope so, Kankri says and rubs at his chest with a wince. He removed something to make you, didn't he? Something physical. You look down at your own chest and see his sign there. His heart. You have Kankri's heart. Listen, Karkat, my hope is that now that I have distance from you, and you're not in my head all the time bothering me about things, I can make you into something productive. Into a person worth being. We can both be better, Kankri explains. And when you've taught me to be better, can I help the humans then? Once I understand everything you say I need to. You add that last part hastily. Kankri's jaw is so tense that you can see the muscles in it twitch. No, he says in a strained voice. You'll do what heaven decides is best, and you will carry out the orders that you are given. That's what all thrones do, right? Or I guess all angels to an extent, you say. Exactly. You follow your orders. Kankri nods. And everyone does that? You ask. Yes, see, you were right. He's starting to understand now that I can talk to him better. Kankri directs that last part at Cronus with a relieved smile. You consider this for a moment and then crouch down, pressing your hand to the floor. The floor ripples and vanishes, and you see Earth. You look and focus on the insurmountable scale of human misery. Disease, torture, death, all of it. Then why does it look like this? You ask, looking up at him. Kankri's face flashes with fury, and Cronus gives you a dark look. You're not supposed to question, Kankri starts angrily. It seems you're not doing a good job, you tell him. Kankri points at an open doorway that wasn't there a mere moments ago. That's your room. Go and stay there, Kankri orders you, the kind of order you can't refuse. Karkat? Karkat! You're shaken awake only to find Dave leaning over you. The bedside light is on now. He must have turned it on. Are you okay, man? I think you were having a nightmare. You come here to stop mine, and you're just stealing them from me? You good? Dave laughs nervously, clearly trying to keep the tone light. Sorry, I'm fine, you mumble. Dave frowns at you. He's not wearing his shades right now, so his face seems so much more expressive. Right now, he looks hurt and upset for you as he reaches out and brushes your cheek. You were crying, kind of loudly. You okay? He asks. He pulls his hand back, and you see your tears wet on the back of his fingers. I guess I was, you say and struggle to sit up. You sniff and wipe your face, feeling completely stupid for crying at a time like this. Want to tell me what it was? What kind of dream made you cry? He asks, and ever so gently pulls you back down into the bed next to him. Dave cuddles close to your side, being comforting and reassuring without saying anything. It wasn't a dream. It was a memory, you croak. Dave reaches across your stomach and finds your hand on your other side and then laces his finger with yours. He says nothing but waits for you to go on. I think it must have been my earliest memory. I'd just been made. Kenkri made me as a way of throwing out all the trash parts of himself he hated. I don't think he ever liked me at all. Sucked from the beginning. You sniff. What an idiot. No wonder he sucks so bad. He took all the good bits out. Dave snorts and gives you a reassuring squeeze. I think he thought I was a mouthy, opinionated, anti-authoritarian idiot who didn't know when to shut his mouth or just do what he was told. Not to mention being surrounded by hills that I've decided to die on, you grumble. There's some of my favorite things about you, Dave says cheerily. And your other favorite things? You ask and turn your head to look at him. Dave's grin turns a little suggestive, and you just know what he's going to say. Forget I asked, you laugh. Dave grins at you, but the expression fades a bit after a moment. He leans up on his elbow slightly and presses a soft kiss to your forehead. I wish you didn't have to remember that stuff. That dude's not worth remembering, and he was wrong as shit about you. We know who you are, and we wouldn't say shit to you, or we wouldn't say that shit to you. Sorry. We know who you are, and we wouldn't say shit to you that'd make you have nightmares so bad about it that it'd wake me up next to you from hearing it, Dave whispers against your forehead. I didn't mean to wake you. You apologize and roll onto your side so you can hug him. Not really the take-home I was expecting from that, but okay. Dave laughs softly. We should sleep, you suggest, and squeeze him again. Dave makes a noise of agreement, and telekinetically flips the switch on the bedside lamp, making the world small and dark again. Your night vision hasn't kicked in yet, so as far as you can tell, the whole world is just your sensation of Dave in bed with you. It's a lot better than the world you saw in that memory, that's for sure. The rest of the night with Dave is peaceful, and when morning rolls around, he looks a lot better than he did before. You go back to your own dorm when Dave gets up, just so you can brush your teeth and get ready for the day. Magic clothes doesn't mean magic everything. Rose pounces on you almost as soon as you walk in the door. Okay, here's where we're going to pause for me to take a little 5-minute break. We are more than halfway through the chapter, but I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go use the bathroom, get some water, and we will be back in a few minutes. So we will be back, let's just say 10:35 or 35 of whatever, so 5 minutes. Be right back, guys. Okay. Alright, we are back. Okay, let me put the music back down. Bada bing, right screen. It's funny because it's actually my left screen, but for some reason I had to do configuration with my desktop, so now all my tabs are, all of my scenes on Streamlabs are all fucked up and weird. So this is technically my right screen, not my left one. Okay, where were we? We were right here. We were right here. Oh boy, here we go. Okay, halfway through. Okay. Oh yeah, 20 seconds now, because like before 22 seconds you could arguably read after the angel reveal, but now it's definitely 100% full spoilers. Especially recently. Definitely can't now. Yeah. So, we probably maybe will read it when we finish. Possibly. It depends on how long it goes. I would rather wait until it's over to read it, but I also don't know how much Unda wants to write for it, you know? I assume not that much, but on the other hand, it's also how many words long now? You'd have to take the current word count in the Google Docs and then combine it with the word count of the chapters right now, but it's kind of long now. Who knows how my brain works, not me. Yep. Not even you know. It's like long. Yeah, it's getting long. Is it more than 50k? I feel like it's more than 50k at least. It's longer than the side fic. The side fic. I assume not longer than 200k. There's no way. Is it more than 100k? There's no way it's more than 100k. Is it really? What's it on the Google Doc right now? Let me see. I'm getting really distracted, but that's okay. We just came back from a little break. Hold on. On the Google Doc, it's 300 or 30k, and then on Unda, on Unda, 22 seconds. Oh, it's like what, 70k? Yeah, 70k. Wow, it's getting close to that 100k number. That's crazy. 67k. That is wild. Oh yeah, I've not added any today. Yes, I haven't read it in the past few days. I was catching up earlier. And I'll probably finish catching up with this after the stream. So, anyways, let's keep reading. Okay. Rose pounces on you almost as soon as you walk in the door. You don't have work on Saturday, right? She asks urgently. You mentally scroll over the schedule in your mind. I don't. Just Friday lunch and Sunday night. Why? I think I found where Winter is currently located, and I need you to come with me Friday night so we can go there on Saturday. I'll pay for everything. Just come with me, please? Rose asks. Sure. You're not happy about this, but you'll agree. Just because you don't want Rose doing this thing alone. And hey, at least she's focusing on something that's not the storm god, so you're sort of nailing Solux's request to get her off that topic too. Just you and me? You check. June is kind of suspicious right now. Solux would flip out if I drag Dave anywhere dangerous like that, so they're both out. And Jade? Rose lists off. Jade's Fae, you point out. Yes, but I don't know exactly what her family history is with her biological family, and she doesn't look like the Winter Court Fae that we saw. Let's say she's from a summer lineage. We might as well just kill her ourselves if we try to take her. Rose lists off. Alright, fair point. I'm not sure if I agree with you on the June front, but whatever, you say, holding your hands out in surrender. Friday it is then, Rose nods. Unfortunately, you agreeing to that means that Friday night is looming closer and closer in your mind as time progresses. You're glad at least that your follow-up class with Mind Fang, where you're tested again, happens on Thursday. Needless to say, Dave's nightmares are a lot worse that night. But it could have been Friday, and then he'd have been alone, which would have been awful. Your scores improve a little with Mind Fang's instructions, and since your charm is specific to you, she suggests that you all keep yours on for further practice. Dave tosses his in his bag the second he's out of class, but you keep yours on. You still spend most of your time with Dave. Not a tough situation for sure, but it means you have to explain where you'll be going. She's dragging you where? Dave asks in surprise, looking away from the TV screen. Behind you, Solid Snake dies in a glitched-out, retextured disaster of a level. England, trying to find a box she saw in a vision. It's probably going to involve going into Fae territory. I figure if I go with her, I can protect her, and maybe talk her out of being overzealous, as she can sometimes be. You explain. Your protection stuff was always pretty good. It seems dangerous, though. Are you sure you should be doing this? Dave asks. I'm sure it'll be fine if we're careful. Ordinarily, I'd ask Solux to come as well, because he knows more than I do. Don't tell him that. But right now, you start busy. Dave finishes for you. Right. And the more other people we add into this, the more chance that it'll go wrong. That's my logic, at least. So hopefully we should go back Saturday night, but we'll see. You continue. You don't mention the reason for excluding June specifically. Promise you'll be careful, right? Dave asks. Of course I will. I don't want anything to happen to Rose, and I don't want to be a bird again either. You tell him. You were a very cute bird, though, Dave says thoughtfully, and you elbow him in the arm. Funny, you say flatly. The fact that you doubt me is so hurtful. Your words hurt, Cartcat. You were the cutest little burb, and I have approximately 1,000 photos to prove it. Dave tells you brightly. And I'm going to bed, you say, and get up before he can show you pictures of you as a stupid-looking little bird. Dave sleeps relatively nightmare-free that night, even if there's a few moments where he stirs a bit and wakes you up. His bed is actually a little larger than yours. You suspect that Solux enlarged it so the two of them could lay down together more comfortably and do whatever it is Moirails do. Talk? Who knows? Either way, when you wake up on Friday morning, you find that you've grown wings again overnight, and Dave is happily snuggled up under one of them as your other drapes off the bed and rests on the floor. You waking up seems to have stirred him awake too, and he notices your wing, turning to nudge it with his nose and brush his fingers through your feathers. See? Still a pretty bird. Dave teases you and yawns widely. You shake your head, your face hot, and hurriedly put your wings away. The rest of the day is odd. You find you're in a state of anticipation and for this trip, and it's not helped how when you get out of work at lunch you have messages from Solux. You don't even have to guess how he found out that you were going. Dave told him. Of course he did. You're going where? To do what? With Faye again? Rose says England, specifically to interact with Faye. You know you're crazy, right? I know it's crazy, but she'll go with or without me. I'd rather she had backup. And hey, she's focused on this rather than researching that thing you don't want her to research. You're welcome. You know that holy and unholy magic doesn't work entirely right in their land, right? Yeah, I know. Do I have to come with? Do you even have the time? Aren't you balls deep in this political war, metaphorically speaking? I mean, I could shapeshift to make that work, but that's not really the point. Finally, Soluk can identify the point. I'm so proud. I shall throw a parade. Oh, bite me. Do you need backup or not? I can do that. KK, don't test me right now. It has been a bitch of a week. I'm hoping that I can handle it. I can always try to drag you on that question like I did before on Everest. Which, side note, I flew to Earth from space. Being on Everest wouldn't have killed me, would it? I don't think so, but I wasn't sure if it was a placebo thing. You thought you were close to human, so maybe human rules applied. Or maybe you'd lost power since I knew you last. I figured it was better to get you out of there than to test that. Didn't realize how much trouble that was going to work out to be. Hey, you saved my life, just went a little sideways in the process. And if I need help again, I'll try that. But it might not work. I don't know what else you want me to say here. Not going isn't an option. Give me 2 minutes. It would be 2, wouldn't it? That was odd, but whatever. You head back to your dorm to pack the things you might need. Out of sheer habit, you pack clothes, but you also put in some food, toiletries, and a good amount of supply gear that you packed for your hike out in the wild and forbidden areas. You know, that nice hike where you met zombies, a literal horseman, a dragon. Like all college trips, totally normal. You're just finishing packing a spare notebook and a few books to read when Solux appears in a puff of synthetic apple smoke behind you. Ugh! You yelp and drop a botany book on the floor. You checked it out of the library, and you've been careful to keep it away from Abraxas. You imagine the library spirit might take exception to a bookworm getting into its books. It took a little longer, had to find some good paper and argue with Red Glare a little. Take this, don't give it to anyone else, and only use it in an emergency. I'm serious. This is a big thing. I'm trusting you. Solux says seriously, and holds out a folded wad of paper. What is it? You ask and take it from him. Solux doesn't answer, so you unfold it. It's a circle of paper, a few feet wide and cut carefully. There are circles and symbols inked in it in gold, and you're able to pick out the double eye symbol that you saw on him as a snake, and since you have seen it on him in this form too, although you were a little distracted by other things at the time, the ink on the paper is only just dry, and it's pure gold. You don't think it's a marker pen, though. Is this blood? Your blood? You ask in alarm. Fey territory can make getting a connection harder. You having my blood when you summon me is going to make that easier. Freely given, and with trust and other feelings, it's about as powerful as you can get, Solix explains. This is a summoning circle, for him specifically. You can't read the demonic on it, but you bet that for him, it's just to bring him from wherever he is to wherever this paper is. But if you wanted to, you could put this in another circle, one that could contain a demon. You could fly to heaven and summon him there. You can even take his blood off of here and do some really nasty magic on him with it. With this in your possession, if you wanted to, you could easily kill him or worse. You never do any of that, of course, but it's a huge gesture of trust on his part, one you feel you ought to reciprocate. You think for just a moment, put the paper in your bag very carefully, and hold out your empty hand to him. I vow, you start and your skin tingles, to not tell anyone but you, or allow anyone else to hear me speaking of that circle. I won't take it out, or give it to anyone else, or let anyone else use it, unless I'm literally about to use it myself, of course. You amend that last bit really quickly before the vow considers you finished. Solix stares at you. You're offering him your word, a bond, that his gesture of trust is understood for what it is and protected with everything you have. He reaches out, his hand sliding into yours, and you shake it just once. The vow snaps shut around you, but you have no trouble adhering to it. Solix lets your hand go and kisses you quick and sweet. I have to go. We called a quick break, but Solix hesitates. I don't know what this whole thing is, but you've got it. I'll keep you updated and try to keep me and Rose out of as much trouble as I can, you tell him. That'd be good, Solix says, and then vanishes again. After a moment, to retrieve your dropped botany book, which is then stowed safely in your bag, you go back to the main room to find Rose just pulling her coat on. It seems your timing was spot on. Ready to go? Rose asks. Ready as I'll ever be. You nod. You and Rose walk to the campus port. You can't take a direct one out to the country from here, although this one takes ports in from outside, like Jade's Island. It doesn't have the proper clearance to go international. You don't really get why, but you also don't especially care. On the way there, Rose explains that your government-issued ID will do for a passport. It's more or less an international agreement at this time, but she has a passport which she shows you. You think it's just so she can prove to herself that she's really remembered to pack it and not forgotten it. If she suddenly doubts it, you can tell her that you saw it. She also has access to the family bank account and took some time in the week to withdraw some British currency, which looks weirdly different from what you're used to. You take the first port from the university to whichever international port had space, which turns out to be LAX. From there, you two have to navigate through a confusingly laid out port until you get to the transfer check in the desk. Then you have to go through all the forms and whatnot that you did to come to Salem the first time. In addition, you have to confirm that you're not bringing any contraband, such as plants and seeds that might screw over the local ecosystem. Of course, you had the smart idea to pack food, so they have to look through all that to be sure you're fine, which you are, and then you get your tickets. Then you can just follow the magical arrows to the port. You arrive a while later at London Heathrow International Teleport. It's pretty late there, and the both of you take a moment to change the time on your phones. Despite the high-tech magical transportation system to get there, you then have to get on a series of trains. The one that takes you through part of London is reasonably new, but the one that Rose shepherds you onto looks a decade older too. The train carriage is reasonably quiet at this time of night. At 10 p.m. you've missed all of the commuter people, and it's also too early for everyone going out to bars and whatever for the night to be coming home yet. As such, you have a whole half of a carriage to yourself, with only a couple tired-looking passengers in the other half. I did a lot of research this week, and this is more or less what I've worked out. I had to start with the Fae in Europe, specifically winter itself. Really, I know we were light on the whole xenobio thing, but this is fascinating stuff, Rose says brightly. Alright, then I'm sure we've got a while. Tell me what you learned. You tell her. Okay, in Scottish folklore, they're very firm on the Fae being divided into two main categories, the Seelie Court and the Unseelie, summer and winter respectively. The Seelie Court are more favorable to humans, but that doesn't mean super friendly as a rule, and obviously you can't judge a whole culture like that, but still. Jade is most likely from a Seelie family, making her a summer-aligned Fae rather than a winter one. The Unseelie are a lot more hostile to humans, and it seems to track that the local folklore typically matches the areas where the two courts appear most. Areas where winter is most often close by tend to have rather darker histories with them, Rose explains. I'm going to assume it's probably a lot more complicated than that, and a lot of that is an overgeneralization, all that stuff. You shrug. Right. Plenty of Fae don't associate with either court and live in separate communities. Not to mention, Fae have married humans in the complicated matter of changelings. On top of that, I'm sure that various winter Fae that frequent this land have different cultures to those in Iceland or wherever. Rose agrees. But knowing this kind of thing is probably going to be helpful, but we should take it with a grain of salt. You nod. Exactly. Now, here's the interesting thing about England. Well, all of the UK, really. See, in America, we have enough space to work around magically active areas and areas of more powerful species than us. We're able to section off areas, but these countries are too small and densely populated for that. Actually, that's part of the reason that people came to America in the first place, but we're not going to get into that topic of colonialism right now. The point is that although in England specifically a lot of places are built to avoid these areas, there are still plenty of towns and villages that are right in the middle of the area that we would consider too dangerous to build in. These are towns where cultures are very meshed together, including a lot of Fae. And then there are some places which either didn't move when territories changed, or they had to build there for lack of space elsewhere, or founded the place on purpose to be away from the more human areas. Rose explains eagerly. The place we're going is one of those, isn't it? You ask, already knowing the answer. Yes, it's a village built right up into a magical belt area that winter often appears in. As well as predicting the weather and the pollen count, the UK government also helpfully has a supernatural forecast based on local sightings of phenomena, and this place is suddenly right off of the charts. I looked around online, and a hiker saw winter nearby and reported it. We're in the right place. Rose beams. The train grinds to a halt, but you're not near a station, although you've stopped at several already. You and Rose exchanged worried looks and wait, unsure of what the problem is. Overhead, the speaker crackles into life, and a tired voice starts to speak. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of First Great Western Railways, I would like to apologize for the delay. We're just stopping here for a moment because of the wildlife on the track. We're going to get that fixed as soon as we can, and hopefully we can get to Pangbourne without too much delay. Thank you. The voice drawls. You and Rose share a look and then quickly pull down the windows to try to peek out as much as you can. It's dark outside, but you hear a voice up ahead. Shoot, I don't want to hit. Thank you. Another man shouts from ahead. You hear an answering whinny and a gasp when something sparkling in white canters up the dark hillside away from the train. Was that you whisper in awe. A unicorn. Yes, I think it was. Rose whispers back, both of you too stunned to do anything else. All right, folks, we are in the clear now. We should be on track to get there on our scheduled time. Sorry again for the delay, the man on the speaker says once more. You and Rose close the window, not wanting to let any more heat out, and sit down as the train starts to move once more. You can't help but regret how late in the day it is. You wish you could see more of what's going on outside. Hopefully tomorrow we'll have everything sorted out. You'll be in possession of that weird box, and you can come back in daylight and see everything you drive past. The train stops at the next station, and Rose reaches across the table and nudges you. We're next, she tells you, not that you have anything other than your bag of holding to gather up and take with you. Still, you appreciate the heads up, and when the train pulls into Goring and Streatley train station, you're happy to get out and stretch your legs. The train station isn't especially big, by which you mean it has 2 platforms and looks like it was most recently renovated in the very early 90s, and most of the stuff here is from way before that. The two of you head out of the station, finding the barriers are already open, and the staff seem to have mostly just fucked off for the evening and left you to your own devices. So there's a youth hostel in town. I've already booked us to stay there, even with the warnings in effect. I don't think they have a lot of through traffic in the area in January, Rose says and squints at her phone, tapping away at the map. You say town, you say slowly, looking around. Alright, town is overselling it. It's a village, and it's just a little over 3 miles across from end to end. So, yeah, come on, Rose says. She reaches out and takes your hand in hers, lacing your fingers together. The air is cold and crisp, your breath misting before your face, and when the paving by the road runs out, you have to walk on the grass verges. You find that the blades crunch underneath your foot. You keep your hand held tight in Rose as you pass a figure made entirely of shadows. You ignore the rustle of the leaves in the bushes and the wind that isn't there. As the two of you go over a bridge, Rose tells you in a whisper that this is actually the Thames. Thames? You pause and look over the sides. In the dim yellow light of the street lamps, the river has a haze of mist over it that is both beautiful and unsettling. You can hear the distant rush of water and the smell of silt in the river mixed with rust of the iron-edged bridge. As the two of you walk past the river, going from the spotlight of the street lamp into the dark and across to the next one, you feel you're closed in on every side from trees that seem to arch over you, making a tunnel. The road is tarmac and divided and marked like any other road, but it feels like an alien thing through a very living landscape. You cross another river, though you figure it must be the same one, but it just splits somewhere else further up. The dark is spooking you out enough that you're using the light on your phone to help you see, as Rose relies on the map of hers. As you pass the water once more, you finally see real buildings again, a relief after what seemed like a lot of nothing. The windows are lit in some places, dim little squares of light in what are probably houses, but you're too far away and it's too dark to be sure. Up ahead, a sign welcomes you to Streetly, and you pause. "Are we in the wrong place?" you ask with a frown. "No, I think they're all interconnected. The place is just ahead," Rose explains and shows you the map. Sure enough, a little way along the road to the left you find the youth hostel. The desk inside is worn but ornate, and behind it a fawn perks up in surprise. "Hi, I'm Rose Lalonde. I made a booking. Sorry it's so late." Rose apologizes, her smile genial and professional. Despite her booking ahead, the fawn seems surprised to see you both, and since they have so much space due to lack of guests, she offers you a twin room, which is cool. You figured it might be a dormitory type situation. "Oh, since I have you here, you're a local, aren't you?" Rose asks. "I am, yes." The fawn nods with a pleasant smile on her face. "Wonderful. Me and my roommate came to do some hiking and see the scenery. We're both in university, you see, and we want to do some extra study on botany and things like that. Make some sketches. There's plenty of things to see even at this time of year. But we've heard there's some kind of warning about. Is there somewhere we should avoid?" Rose asks innocently. The fawn's face freezes for a moment, and then she smiles, fake but trying not to be. "Oh, well, it's nothing really. This place is just very natural, and the fair folk are wonderful as long as you're respectful. But I'm sure I don't know about any warning or where you shouldn't go. Everything is wonderful. Let me show you to your room," she says, brittle bright, and hurries up the stairs with a key in her hand and gestures for you to follow her. You have a good sense to stay quiet for once, and both you and Rose follow her upstairs as she shows you to the room. "Since we have so few guests, we can't put on breakfast in the morning, but there's cafes and a few small food shops around. Checkout is at 10, but I imagine if you're hiking you'll want to be off before then. If you have any more questions, you can just ring down to the front desk or come down, okay?" She smiles and hurries out before you could possibly have asked a question there and then. You open your mouth, but Rose holds a finger to indicate that you should be quiet. She pulls a chalk pen from her bag and inscribes the silencing spell that your dorm has onto the wood. That'll just wipe off in the morning, but it'll also protect you from anyone listening. Just to be sure, you pay attention to the charm on your wrist, and it's not doing anything, so you suppose that fawn lady isn't listening. "So that was wildly suspicious," Rose concludes as she turns around to face you. "Oh, just a little," you say sarcastically. "I think we can safely conclude that winter is indeed nearby, especially as she was acting as if it was all safe and well," Rose says as she moves from the door to walk around your shared room. "You're just assuming she's lying about everything?" you ask. "No, but think of it this way. If the Fae of the Winter Court are inclined to take people, then better some ignorant American tourist than a local. A village like this has a population of maybe a few thousand at most. Someone dying or going missing here would be painful. Strangers less so." Rose shrugs and sits on her bed. "Like a sacrifice?" "Rose, I don't want to be a sacrifice. I want to graduate alive," you tell her. "We'll be fine. Little do they know that we're well prepared and no ordinary humans. I have a guardian angel with me, don't I?" Rose smiles. "Great, and who's protecting me?" You grumble and pace around the room. "If anyone tries to hurt you, it'll be the last thing they do," Rose says cheerily and casually starts unpacking things from her bag, as if she didn't just make a very sinister statement. "You're terrifying, you know that, right?" you point out. "Mm-hmm," Rose hums and walks into the bathroom with her little bag of toiletries. "Crazy witches. Whatever. You'd better look around the room. You can't see much outside because it's really late, but the building seems old and surprisingly fancy. You can't imagine that it was designed as a youth hostel. It looks more like a country home that was converted. What you're in now must be a modified bedroom set up to function more like a hotel room. You'd thankfully picked up a power converter in the port, so you get your phone charging. No way are you dealing with the possibility of wandering through fae-filled forest and discovering that you suddenly have no charge. In fact, when that's done, you've got an external battery that you'll charge up too. The room has some antique furniture, in which is all very nice, and probably eye-wateringly old by American standards. You've no use for the wardrobe, so you just change your clothes into pajamas, while Rose is away in the bathroom. It's not as if you're going to adapt to the time zone properly in the short time that you're here, but you'll need to be up early tomorrow, so you really should sleep. With that decided, you pull the covers back and get into bed, sitting up and waiting for Rose. When Rose emerges, she seems to approve of the idea. I'll get changed and try to sleep. Tomorrow we'll get food and maybe ask around, see if we can get a better idea of where to go. If that doesn't work, we'll just walk and see if we can find Winter on our own. I'll set an alarm for us too, Rose explains. She pulls clothes from her bag and you roll over in your bed to face away from her so she has some privacy. Best case scenario is we run into someone who knows just where we need to go. Wait over there, find the box immediately, and leave. That'd be nice, but there's no point planning for that, so what's our plan for and if things don't go well? Or plan for if and when things don't go well? You ask the wall. Well, if we just don't find Winter at all and run out of time, then we go back to Salem, and I research more and we try again later. Perhaps I got the location wrong. Or if we do find it, but our reception is bad, with whoever we run into Winter, then I guess we play that situation as we see fit in the moment. We can defend ourselves or retreat if we have to. But I really want that box. I have to know what's going on here, Rose says. She sits on the end of the bed, of your bed now, in her pajamas. Her face is free of makeup and still shiny from moisturizer or something. In the soft light of the room, it highlights the frown on her face all the more. I just don't understand what's happening. Did we see a vision of the future, or a memory? If it was the future, then who were you talking about finding? Rose asks. It also suggests that I have a history of getting stabbed by every new person I meet, which I don't like. You agree? But if it was the past, then the ages don't make sense. Yours does, but mine doesn't. I'd be more willing to think that it was the past, and I was just seeing myself as I'm used to seeing myself now, but... Rose starts. But you didn't look exactly like you do now. You fill in for her. Right. So, I'm at a loss. If that box is there, then it proves that what happened was in the past, and maybe whatever is in it will explain why things are so strange, Rose says and shakes her head. This is obviously driving her mad. The dream we had with the green moon in it was like that too, you point out. Yes, another mystery. I had thought of that as more metaphorical, but now I'm not so sure. Either way, our next move is to sleep as much as we can before we need to get up in the morning, Rose says with a firm nod. She gets up and climbs into her own bed, and when she's under the covers, you reach over and turn the lights off. Because of the time difference, it definitely doesn't feel like morning when you get up, and because it's January, it's still dark as all fuck outside. Your will to get up is barely zero. However, Rose is usually as much of a morning person as you are, is now lit up with the fires of curiosity and stubbornness, and so she's powering her way around the room getting ready. You can't stay here, so you grudgingly haul yourself up and start packing your things away. With a final check that you've not left anything in your room, the two of you head out. You wait outside as Rose settles up and talks to a different person at the desk today. It's still dark and the air is cold and wet, hanging around in an unpleasant way that makes you feel cold all the way down to the bone. Alright, we need to get back the way we came, towards the station. There's more stores and food places back there, and hopefully, coffee. Rose says that last part with an air of desperation. Coffee, you agree with an emphatic echo. As you get out of the shade of some of the trees and turn the corner, you see it's not quite as dark as you thought. The sun is just starting to rise, but the street lamps are still on. It makes for quite the atmospheric and pretty picture, and with your now more sedate walk, you're able to look around better. The houses all look a little different from one another, seeming like they were built at different periods in time, or perhaps the others have been modified. Almost all of them are built from warm red brick or pale flint. Some houses are both. In the early morning light, there's still fog drifting over the river water, but it seems a little less ominous and more scenic. You take a picture for Dave just because you think he'll appreciate that sort of thing. Lots of churches, you remark as you pass your second or third one in maybe 10 minutes. Lots of iron in the doors of them too, Rose says quietly. Right, iron to repel Fae. A pretty solid sign that this place is used to existing in Fae territory and has built its self-defenses. Despite Rose's assertion to the contrary, the cafes that you pass are all closed at the moment and look like they won't be open for a few hours based on the signs. So the pair of you go for the next best option. You step into an absolutely tiny local shop. It seems to have a little of everything, and you imagine that's by design. There's a few books and magazines, food, alcohol, basic home cleaning supplies, and even more hardware stuff like batteries and light bulbs. There's some prepackaged pastries for sale, as well as some iced coffee bottled and stored in one of the glass-fronted refrigerated shelves. It's better than nothing, so you two grab what you want as well as supplies for lunch later. If you're going to be hiking around the woods and fields around here, you'd certainly better have something to drink. Although you could perhaps change the state of some of the frost around here to water, but that might not be clean to drink and would more likely than not be wildly inefficient. Seeing as this is all still on Rose's dime, she takes your stuff up to pay and you pack the food and drink into your bag. The guy behind the register is about Rose's age and has the bored as fuck look that most people in retail end up developing. You certainly can sympathize with that. Hi, I'm sorry, we're not from around here. I've heard there were warnings for Fae activity around. Could you tell me anything about that? Rose asks pleasantly. The guy scanning your iced coffee hesitates for a moment before handing you the drink. I'm not in charge of the warnings or anything, he shrugs. Oh, I didn't mean that you were, but do you know what's going on? Rose asks, still with a naive smile that's completely fake. The good neighbors aren't any problem, same as anyone else. If you're respectful, they'll keep to themselves like we should, but... He hesitates and Rose keeps staring at him. I'd stay away from Gatehampton Farm, or just Gatehampton in general. Thank you so much. We will. Rose smiles at him. The guy seems uncertain, but he still finishes ringing you up, and Rose pays, thanking him again. You both leave, and when you're outside, you hand out your breakfast food and start to eat as Rose pokes at her phone. You know she's looking for directions to the exact place you were told to stay away from, because of course she is. You don't even question it when the two of you start walking. Even though iced coffee is hardly what you wanted to drink, you drink it anyway, and feel a little more awake afterwards. As Rose told you before, this village is hardly big by any stretch of the imagination, and as you make your way to Gatehampton, which seems to be some kind of suburb, or maybe just an area, you find that the nice solid flagstone paving by the road just goes away, and the two of you have to walk in the actual road itself. The closer you get, the more you feel the cold start to creep in, and the fewer people you see. When you reach the sign for Gatehampton itself, the whole thing is frosted over entirely. You and Rose share a worried look, and you offer your hand to her. She takes it, and the two of you hold tight to each other. The last thing you need to do is be separated. The houses in this area seem incredibly old indeed, and no one seems to be about at all. Doors with iron studs are shut tight. All the curtains in the houses are drawn, and not a scrap of light can be seen around them. What you call Gatehampton is just a large cul-de-sac, if a regular cul-de-sac had farmland attached. You can make out maybe 20 properties here, and every single one of them is as silent as a grave. I guess we just keep walking, Rose says softly. You can't see where you would go. From where you're standing, this place doesn't seem to go anywhere. Still, you walk in further with Rose. When you step on the grass now, it doesn't just crunch underfoot, but it shatters like a glass straw might, and the sound seems to echo and bounce around. The old road progresses a little more, as you thought it does indeed end. You're about to suggest to Rose that you leave and try another way around when you see it. A flickering bluish-white light down what you'd taken to be just a path back to someone's house. A will-o-wisp. That's Fae fuckery if you ever saw it. You nod towards it, but Rose has already seen it too. Rose gives your hand a quick squeeze and pulls you along towards the light. Every sensible part of you is yelling in your mind that this is a bad idea, that you're stupid to follow this, but you have to now. The path you're on is narrow, closed in by ice over plants, leaves and ivory covered with sheets of clear water, and as Rose brushes by one, a perfect clear leaf slides off the real plant and shatters on the frosty gravel beneath. Small berries beneath the bushes seem to be almost illuminated, and you get the feeling that the moment your eyes are off of anything, it subtly moves in ways that aren't quite right. The path goes right at a 90-degree angle, and you realize that this is a field for keeping horses. At first glance, you think you see a distant horse in the field that's ambling lazily towards you in a way that horses do sometimes, often on the lookout for people who might possibly have oats or something. To your left, you hear a distant wet sound and realize that the two of you have somehow found your way to the river again. Either that or the river has wound its way to you. Rose gasps, and your attention is dragged back to the, oh, not a horse. It looks very much like a horse indeed, but its dark body is dripping water, its mane bedraggled and hollow eyes, and its head glow blue. Kelpie. That's a Kelpie. You got away from them before, but you'd really rather not test your luck a second time. Rose hurries towards the water, and you follow. You don't have much choice. You don't want to be close to the Kelpie, and Rose won't accept turning back at this point. The river is your only option, which is probably spectacularly stupid, around a Kelpie of all things. The path alongside the horse/Kelpie field stops at the riverbank. To your left is a private house, and to the right is more riverbank and the other side of the horse field. That's not the most unusual thing, though. The river is completely solid. A thick sheet of ice covers the water from bank to bank, and beyond it, where you're sure should be more houses and more village, is just an endless white forest. Winter. Rose looks sidelong at you, and the two of you together step onto the frozen river. The ice is surprisingly easy to cross, and you feel the transition of going from the last edge of Earth itself to winter in its truest form. Now that you're out of sight of humans, you should probably take the lead of your past/future self and look like the creature you are. Attempting to trick the Fae isn't smart. Your wings stretch out from the void they live in, and in contact with the cold air, you feel them fluffing up for warmth. You and Rose set foot on the ground of winter on the other side of the river at the same time. "We need to find that box," Rose whispers. "I marked the ground where I buried it," you whisper back. "I guess we just start looking. I was kind of banking on some great insight when we got here, but maybe we just have to do this the hard way," Rose says under her breath. You nod in agreement, and carefully the two of you walk along, keeping the frozen river on your side at all times. You didn't bury the box far into winter, so even if the geography of the place is a little weird, it would stand to reason that it would be somewhere in the outer edge of the place. As a fun lesson in naming Fae is a kind of catch-all term covering all kinds of subspecies, much as demon and angel seem to be. Humans aren't great at differentiating all that kind of stuff in other species, it seems, especially in species that are often not fully of the prime material plane of reality. Winter and summer both exist in sort of a halfway dimension, not Earth as you know it in the prime material, but also not that. So when someone says Fae, they usually mean people like Jade, very humanoid in appearance and reasonably human behavior and language, but it covers all sorts of species. Technically, the kelp back there was Fae, same for the will-o-wisp. Your typical diminutive fairy that you see in very old art are sometimes an alternate form of a Fae like Jade, and sometimes they're a species all on their own. Right now, there's several tiny humanoid shapes, glowing spots flitting in and out of frozen plants, and you're reasonably sure that fairies are exactly what you're seeing. You can feel them watching you, and the warmth of the charm on your wrist is kind of welcome in this cold, even if the reason for it isn't welcome. "There," you gasp, pointing at the ground. Before you, there's a 69 and small stones on the frozen ground. You and Rose hurry over and break hands so that you can both try to scrape the frozen dirt away as quickly as possible. Rose hisses in frustration, and when you look up, you see that she's somehow pulled a knife out from somewhere. "What? Where'd you get that? How'd you even get that through the security port?" you hiss at her. "Just dig," Rose says back under her breath and stabs at the ground, loosening it up enough to pull a chunk of it away. Stupid, naive relief is starting to fill you as you expose the top of the box and carefully pry it out of the ground. That is, of course, until you hear distant hoofbeats. Rose wrestles the box out of the ground and shoves it whole into her bag before anything can happen. No sooner has she shut the flap on her bag of holding than 6 Fae riding white stags burst into the relatively clear area near you. The man in the lead is the one you saw in your dream, as he looks livid. "You," he snarls at you both. "We got our box, as per the deal. We're leaving now. Thank you for your hospitality," Rose says carefully. You eye the mounted Fae. They're all armed and look mad as hell. In fact, they're not just armed, but their weapons are drawn. One in particular senses you watching and turns their head to stare you down with cold, angry eyes. You feel your wings flare in threat, wanting to seem as intimidating as they are. Maybe you're just showing that you're scared. It's true, and you're not sure how to stop your wings giving that away because you don't know them well enough yet. "You did not tell us what was going to happen. You knew," the man in charge snarls at Rose. Rose, of course, has no defense for that because she doesn't know what it was that she knew then, or even when then was exactly. "You didn't ask for that information," Rose says calmly. The Fae aren't calm. They're going to attack. You can see it, but you have the box, and you have maybe 10 seconds to work out what you can do. The only thing that comes to your stupid trash brain is you wish that Dave was here with his goddamn Coke. Wait. You subtly slide your hand into your bag. You brought some Coca-Cola at the shop when you got your breakfast. You'd thought that you'd need more caffeine later in the day. You write out your alchemy spell, both because it's good practice for learning, but also because it stops you accidentally casting something that you don't mean and stopping something going horribly wrong. But you don't have to, and right now horribly wrong is kind of the thing you're after. You saw the spell Dave wrote out for his alchemy bomb bullshit. You wrote most of it out with him. He just edited one last bit to turn the content from liquid state to a gas without boiling first. You slide the Coke out of your bag and feel it start to freeze immediately on contact with the air, which shouldn't make sense because if it was that cold, Rose would be frozen solid by now, but she's alive, and look, face shit doesn't always make sense. In your left hand behind your back, you can feel the bottle becoming hard with the pressure of the Coke inside expanding with nowhere to go. With your right, you reach out and take Rose's hand. There's a flash of silver as one of the Fae in the back makes a move to rush to attack you both. You call Dave's stupid spell to mind, fix it to the freezing bottle of Coke in your hand, and throw it. You release the spell as it arcs over them, and in the second you have, you launch into the air, dragging Rose with you. The explosion damn near sends you falling back out with how much the shockwave disturbs the air, but you keep going. "Carcat!" Rose yelps, grabbing hold of your arm with her other hand as well. I've got you, you insist, gripping onto her as hard as you can. You try to keep flying and haul Rose closer to you as much as you can. She manages to hook a leg around the back of yours and cling almost koala-like to your stomach and legs. Her fingers dig into your back tightly, and you're more than a little worried about dropping her, but at the same time, you don't dare land to try to rearrange yourselves. "Carcat, I need to get onto your back. Fly up, I'll let go and you can fly under me," Rose shouts up at you. "I'm not Terezi, my wings are huge, and I don't think," you protest. "What other choice do we have?" Rose screams as she slips slightly out of fear. You grab her shoulder. She's right, this position isn't something you two can hold. You soar upward into the sky, as high as you can without worrying about starving Rose of oxygen. She nudges your stomach with her head, and then all at once lets go of you completely. You feel the pit of your stomach drop as you see Rose plummet down to the ground below you. She turns herself over in the air, and you rush down, using your speed to dart below her. It hurts when the two of you collide, but you manage to stabilize yourself before the pair of you hit the ground. Rose is now sat on the small of your back, with her hands between your shoulder blades and wings. The sound of horns float up from the woods of winter below you. They don't sound like the good kind either. The wild hunt are after us. We have to go now," Rose says loudly over the wind. You don't need telling twice. You put on some speed, not as fast as you could possibly go, but you don't want to knock Rose off your back. The frozen trees whip below you in a blur of white, but no matter how far you fly, you don't seem to get any closer to the edge of winter. You can't even see where that is. You're starting to feel distinctly like a rat caught in a maze that has a trap at the end. "I can't see a way out," you call back to Rose. "I think this place is enchanted to get people lost. It doesn't matter if we're flying or walking. There's gotta be a way out, though," Rose says. You try flying as straight as you possibly can. You try ignoring the ground below and instead following the sun, but that doesn't help either. You feel Rose move and then shove a hand under your shirt. She presses her hand to your spine and you feel something in it. "This points to Dave. No matter what, it points to him. Just close your eyes and follow the direction it's pointing," Rose tells you. Her hand is trapping it against your skin so you can feel it as it moves. For a moment you think it must be lost because it'll point right and then suddenly straight, and its direction changing vastly over a span of a second. But maybe it's not broken. Maybe this plane of reality is just warped in ways you can't tell. You close your eyes and turn in the air so that the chess piece is aligned with your spine. Every time it deviates, you flutter back and change direction. You're starting to lose hope that it'll work when all of a sudden the air around you snaps from bitter cold to just regular cold. You're also way closer to the ground. Between the tip of your wing clipping the ground and the sudden shock, you end up crashing to it. You and Rose tumble apart, and it takes a moment for you to push yourself up onto your hands and knees and look around. Your hands are pressed to dew-wet grass, and you sit up and you realize that you're in a graveyard. It's a long field of gravestones on a sloping hill in the middle of what looks like a green valley. Behind you, there's a groan, and you see Rose leaning back on a gravestone and wincing. "Rose, are you okay?" you ask her worriedly. "A little bruised, but, fine. You?" Rose asks as she sits up and presses a hand to her lower back. "A little worried that we're in a spooky graveyard," you say and stand up. Thankfully, the two of you seem to be alone, which means you don't have to explain the wing thing to anyone else. You're not willing to just put them away yet. Cautiously, you read the stones nearest to you, momentarily worried they might be your names or something. Or maybe you're just, Or maybe you're out, but the dates are from the future, and you've been escaping for 100 years. But no, they're just old gravestones. A few here and there have plastic flowers in, and you see some wilting holly wreaths on some from Christmas time. We're out on the edge of Gorn again. Not where we went in, but we're out, Rose tells you, looking at the map on her phone. You did it. You got what you needed to when you got out. Considering everything that could have gone wrong, you think you got off lightly. You hold a hand out to Rose and help her to her feet. There's a gravel path in the middle of the cemetery, and the pair of you carefully make your way there, and you try to avoid treading on any graves on the way. At the top of the hill, there's a little shelter and a tap, which you presume is for filling a watering can that sat there. It must be for when people bring flowers. The bench in the shelter is certainly more appealing to sit on than the grass, and after you put your wings away, you sit down on it with Rose. You don't even have to ask about the box. She's already taking it out of her bag and came all this way for it, so there's no way you're not going to look. The box Rose draws out isn't especially big, about the size of a shoebox. It's made of dark wood that's varnished so deep it's almost black, and every side of it is carved. Rose holds it up and shines the light from her phone over to cast onto the carvings into a stark relief. It's clearly text, and it's clearly expressing magic, but the language isn't written in English, so you're not really able to understand it more than that. How do you open it? There's no latch or anything, you say. Rose slips her thumbnail between the lid and the box, and to your surprise, it opens easily. The lid swings open and comes to rest upright. The whole box is lined with black velvet, and there appears to only be two things within it. The first thing is a leather belt with small bags attached to it, also made of leather. Attached to it is a small tag with 2 words written on it in purple ink in looping but familiar script. For Cartcat. That's my handwriting, Rose whispers, picking the tag off of the belt. Alright, so Rose is giving you a weird pocketed belt. As you turn it, you see that each of the pouches has something embossed on it in either gold leaf or gold pigment of some kind. These are tarot cards. Look, the Knight of Cups, the Two of Swords, the Empress, the High Priest. There's loads of them, you tell her eagerly. That's weird, there's nothing inside, Rose says and squeezes one of the pouches. You squint at the belt, especially at the pouch on it with your card printed on the side. It feels empty, and when you hold your hand in it, but nevertheless you open it up. When you look inside, it's that same endless black void that your bag of holding has when you look at it. They're bags of holding, you exclaim. But you don't know what's in them, so you can't get anything out. Also, you already have a bag of holding. Why would I give you a belt with a whole bunch of them on it? Rose asks. Yeah, it's for you. This pouch has your card, so... Curiously, you dip your hand inside. You don't know what's in there, but you know who you are. You know what your card represents. As you think that, and hold the concept in your mind, a sheet of paper flies out into your hand within the pouch. You take it out. Now you know how it works. Oh, that's clever. You don't have to know what you're looking for, just why you're looking and who you're looking for. It's the magic for a bag of holding altered enough to be really specific. That's really smart. So I guess I'll work these out later when I need them, or when I can think the right thought. What's the other thing, you ask? Rose sets the box on a bench between you and looks in it as you sit with the belt on your lap. It's a blanket or a shawl, maybe? I like the colors. It's all purple and black, Rose says as she looks at it. Well, it is your box. It makes sense that if you left yourself something, it'd be something you'd like. I suppose. Let's have a look, Rose says. She reaches in for the blanket, her fingers wrapping in the dark cloth. She lifts it up and out of the box. You shudder a little as the cold breeze blows past you. It's not as cold here as it was in winter, but you'd still rather be indoors. You think you got a little lost in your thoughts about this weird magic belt of very specific holding. You can investigate it more later and see what your friends think about it. Carefully, you set the belt in the box and flip the lid closed again. You stand up and drop the carved box into your bag of holding. Maybe you can see if you can find anything on the carvings in the library, or perhaps Dave's mom would be able to tell you something. You're a little hesitant to go to your boss in case it's Fae stuff, and there's cultural baggage there, but if nothing else comes, then you just might. Alright, you've already checked out the hostel, so you should probably get back to Salem. Just because you're out of winter doesn't mean that you won't get angry, unseelie Fae charging out here hunting you down. Best be several thousand miles away if you can. Quickly, you look around the graveyard and see you're just as alone as you were before, and unfurl your wings. With a great beat of them, you launch into the sky. It's probably best to be above the cloud level to reduce the risk of being seen. A quick look on Google Maps shows you the direction you should be heading to get towards America. You can fine-tune that when you get closer, so you head off. I thought I should let you two know that I'm on my way back now. You found that box you saw in your dream? I did. Suspiciously light on the details there. I heard my phone ping. I'm awake. What happened? I succeeded in every way possible, and this needs no further examination. What happened? Yeah, sounds sus to me. Remind me why we were cool with you going and doing this crazy thing alone again. Because I'm a heavenly being who's really hard to kill and also wildly competent, and you both trust me. You two suck. So, what happened? I may have gotten intercepted by some fae when digging up the box. They may have been not especially happy about everything. You could have summoned me. I wasn't sure I had the time. Plus, I had this. I was fine. So, how'd you get out of that jam? Dave is hereby banned from being smug about this. What about me? You're always smug. You're a lost cause. I may have taken a Coke out of my bag and done Dave's alchemy trick on them. I basically set off a Coke bomb on them and flew out of there as fast as I could. No idea how I found the way out, but I did, and this box just had a weird magical belt in it. That's a long way to go for a belt. A magic belt. About you being wildly competent again? Shut your fuck. Anyway, I have a long flight home by myself, and I'm probably going to lose signal at some point because who needs signal in the middle of the ocean? So if that happens, I'm not dead. I'm just dead bored. Yeah. I think if you fly too fast, the U.S. defense people are going to lose their shit and think that someone is shooting missiles at us. And I might make NASA cry. I also don't want to see if I can survive a missile counterattack, so I'll just stay at this speed. Okay, well, I'm going back to sleep. Come find me when you're back. Will do. Chapter end. A giggle. What a lovely little chapter end there. Oh, thank God it isn't Thursday. OMG, I forgot about the shawl of the voidfish. That's Taz. Chapter end. Oh, thank you for the redeem, for the hydrate. I will do that. Oh, and the stretch. Oh my God, such a long stretch. Hey, we didn't go 3 hours. What just happened? You know what? Thank God it ain't Thursday. Am I right? We will be able to continue this tomorrow. Yeah, a little cliffhanger ending there. Oh no, where's Rose? Rose? Oh, where'd she go? Uh-oh. Chris, my car cat is Cankry's heart theory was right. I'm very happy. Yes, you were. You were right. You were right. I think I saw you send that message at some point a few chapters ago, and I was like, I don't want to say anything. It's also like, oh my God, Carcat like being so like compassionate and sympathetic and all that sort of stuff. It was a Tumblr. Oh, it was a Tumblr ask. It was. Being so like nice and sympathetic and caring and, you know, this card of gold. It makes sense because literally his entire being his conception is being a heart. Oh yeah, I did see the other account. I appreciate that. It's okay, Rose is just playing peekaboo and we're the baby with no object permanence. I can't, Crenshaw. I can't do a doodle now. It's very late. I can do a doodle maybe tomorrow before we start. I will keep note. You just got to remind me tomorrow, but I can't do anything tonight. It's very, very late. And stream went on quite long today. Like, Carcat makes sense for what he is. It makes perfect sense. It really does, and it's really cool. It is very, very cool. So yeah, fucking baller chapter. It's so crazy because, like, we get here, and then it's like, oh, wait, we also had, like, the Dave date this chapter. Like, there's so much this chapter. Holy fuck. My God. We got Dave date, we had fucking... We had Carcat and Cankry. No, this is not the one. We had Carcat and Cankry memories. So much. There was so much this chapter. Oh my god, we had Carcat's first ever memory. Oh, I love Signless, dude. I love Signless. I love, like, taking... Because, like, the whole joke isn't Homestuck is that Signless is troll Jesus, and then they actually make him into actual literal Jesus, and it's very funny to me. And it's so great. Also, I love criticisms of organized religion, and we're doing a little bit of that. Well, not organized religion in general, mostly Christianity. Actually, specifically Christianity. But I love that. I love it. I love it. I forgot Carcat's first memory was in this chapter. I was just thinking, oh yeah, Rose and Carcat do winter crimes. Yeah, I didn't remember it was either until I was reading earlier, because I usually check out the chapter a little bit before stream, like earlier in the day, and I just like read it through really quick, not like in depth, but I skim through it to know. You know, Carcat was raised Christian because he got married halfway through his first semester. So my current theories are June is the wind god, and corollaries. I don't actually know what that means. Dirk is Satan, Signless is Kanaya's dead brother, and corollaries. And Rose and Dave were made with magic, and why Roxy's so weird now. I think that's all of them. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. I've made that joke 17 times. I think I saw it earlier in chat, but when I'm reading, it's kind of hard for me to focus on chat. I usually miss messages because I can't, like, it's hard to, like, glance over and read them as I'm also very actively reading. But yeah. So exciting stuff. Rose, where did she go? Where did Rose go? Oh no. Carcat, you're forgetting your Moirail. I mean, not Moirail. Well, you know. You're, you know, wink, nudge. Wink, nudge. My phone is fucking up, so it won't let me give me a sub to you, but I will give you a couple next time you stream. Oh, you don't have to do that, Zane. But I do appreciate, any support, but it's absolutely not necessarily, don't worry. Corollaries, I don't know how to spell it, facts that follow directly from a theorem, proof, idea, if proven true. Oh, interesting. Willow, thank you for your prime. I will happily take Jeff Bezos's free money from you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, with that, we'll probably wrap up stream. I honestly thought that this was going to be a 3-hour stream, especially with how much we talked at the beginning. But I guess I'm getting better at reading chapters. Going pretty fast, but, like, I feel like I try to, like, not pace myself too quickly. Maybe I still read a little bit fast, but I try to go at, like, a decent pace without, you know, whatever. But yeah, we will be back tomorrow, and tomorrow's chapter is definitely shorter. Fucking chapter title. you fucking okay, a bit on the nose, a little bit, we think, a little bit on the nose. A little bit on the nose. All right. My god. Yeah, all of them are song titles. That's the bit. But it's a little bit Zane, I curse like a fucking I curse like a bit of a sailor, so you don't have to worry. Bro, that's the title. Yeah. She do be gone, though. She do be gone. Ugh. I'm going to stream internally for the next while. Rose, what the fuck happened to her? Yeah, resist having to to read ahead. I started reading DBDC and read YWB recently, and my brain is filled with different timelines, me having trouble distinguishing from them. Yeah, I definitely, when I was reading Unda's Fix, I read one at a time. The only time I kind of overlapped was I was in the middle of my MC Escher reread, and then I started YWDMP, but then I, like, stopped my MC Escher reread to focus on YWDMP. I can't read more than, I start reading multiple at a time, and I can't focus. Especially with, like, DBDC gets so I mean, everything is plotty. Alternate Universe is kind of plotty. Can anyone in chat give me a quick recap? Totally okay if not, though. On this chapter in general, because if you want in general, you can do ! summary, and you can check out the giant fucking dog. Now, it's a summary, but it's not brief anymore. I'm sorry. It's not brief. And that has a summary of every single chapter we've read so far that I have written, because I'm dedicated. There's a lot of information. I will be writing. I pretty much always update it right before the next stream. So if you check back tomorrow around this time, check 30 minutes before stream. It'll have the summary from tonight. I mean, we're like 400k words in. You can't do brief. Yeah. Yeah, I spaced out of my rereads each fic, much not even necessarily on purpose, but it did help, yeah. Maybe the reason I have had 2 theories correctly is that I'm actually Rosalind. True! Oh my god, you're a seer! Oh my god, that's so crazy. Oh, I didn't write this fic. I mean, I wrote the summaries. I did not write this fic. This is not my fic. This is written by Unda. But yes, I wrote those summaries. Your name is Rose. So true. You are now my overall favorite streamer forever till I die. Oh, I appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoy the streams. YWTV also has so much going on at first. You're trying to figure out while you read the first time. Yes, I think Alternate Universe is the same though. I think they're very similar. So, or at least in that case of like things overlapping. Not overlapping, but like the mystery, because like DBDC, you can't really there's nothing to solve with DBDC. Kinda, but there's not enough hints like early on for you to like guess like some of the little like plot twists, quote unquote. It's more of a kind of along for the ride. But Alternate Universe and YWTP are both like kind of more mysteries that you can kind of legitimately solve to an extent. Maybe not entirely, but to an extent you can solve them as you're going. And that's because they're more like kind of planned out. While DBDC, and Unda's talked about this, DBDC started as Unda just wanting to write like pale one-shots, I'm pretty sure, and then it turned into something bigger. And that's really funny to me because DBDC turning into, quote, something bigger and it becoming a million a million word fic with like, fucking 69 chapters is really funny to me. I mean, my name is Rose. It's the best cover. No one would ever suspect me. I would. Oh, would you? Are you so good with mysteries? I think so. I think Alternate Universe is better on reread. The first reread where you're able to like pick all the little things up, like even just like the stuff with like stuff that we know of, like Karkat being an angel, Solux being Karkat's Kismesis, just that stuff, like going back to the early chapters and seeing like the way that Karkat reacts to certain information, stuff like that. Oh, well, the summary is a long time to get reading. Yeah, I told you. Summary is like 16k words total. It is fucking dense. I personally recommend reading the whole fic itself, but obviously it's a big boy. But if you want to read the summaries, that is what they're there for. We also have a VODs channel where I post the VODs for these read-throughs if you have like a shit ton of time. But again, if you want to be here and like have some context for tomorrow, the summaries are the way to go, or at least the fastest way to go. There's so much that takes of a different meaning upon reread. Yes, absolutely. I was drawing for a while listening and I was like, what the fuck just happened, even though I don't know what happened. Yeah. There's a lot of like little tiny lines that you ignored when you don't know that stand out like a sore thumb upon reread. Absolutely. I've had a lot of better time solving AU than YWTMP, but maybe that's because I'm reading it at more reasonable speed and listening to it, or maybe because AU is a bit easier to guess. I think so. I think YWTMP, like AU is also like kind of mythologies, and like I think AU's mystery is more clearly plot out, but with YWDMP, at least some of the later stuff, I'm like fucking along for the ride. I don't know what the fuck's going on with I'm gonna be really vague. I don't know what the fuck's going on with like Solux and the fucking ghosts. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to be vague. You know what I mean. If you're reading YWP, if you're caught up and you know like the more recent stuff, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm along for the damn ride. For AU, at least I was like, okay, I can solve this. But for YWDMP, I read the set list and I'm like, sure, okay. I don't know. I'm like happy. I'm like you know fucking vibing, but I'm not. I like people are posting theories and like you know stuff in the YWDMP chat, and I'm like, I don't fucking know. I don't know. But yeah, I have all the VODs on a VOD channel. Yes. Imagine trying to solve fix all this post was made by the can't theorize or predict for shit gang. Yeah. God, yeah, what the fuck is going on with recent YWTB? Right? That's what I'm saying. I don't fucking know. I just know that I keep not being able to say things because of spoilers, but I just know that my boys are here and they're safe, and that's what matters to me. I theorized a few things at the start and then I ran out of brain cells. I have no more theory juice. Very fair. Very fair. I think keep thinking of Stolas from Hell of a Boss, and I was like, nope, not him. I haven't watched Hell of a Boss. I don't think. I've seen something of that, like, of the fucking Busy Pop or whatever, but not enough that I register anything. I'm excited for when YWTV updates again because Unda's mental health is way more important, and whenever they finally feel up to it, they will, but we look forward to it. Yes, I very much look forward to it, but obviously, you know, writers' mental health takes priority, and 22 seconds is still fun, so I'm not complaining. But I am sitting there quietly. I'm like waiting. I'm like polite, but I'm not waiting outside the door, but I'm like down the block and I'm like peering around the corner every now and then, like waiting, waiting for the door to open. Just like being a little, doing a little peek. I'm just reading Undefix instead of doing my English class, for which I am currently writing Homestuck theme Jewish Bible fanfiction. So all of my theories / analysis are going in Unda stuff. Hell yes. We love to see that. Love to see that. All right. I think that'll about wrap up tonight. Again, we will be here tomorrow, 9 p.m. EST, as always. As always. So feel free to join us then, or we will do chapter 29. And bada bing, bada boom. By the way, I mentioned this yesterday, but I've scheduled time to feed my friends a fic, and it's just stream time, not on stream days. All right. I'm not gonna get too more distracted because if I keep reading chat, I will continue to get distracted. Have a lovely, not next week, it's tomorrow. But, oh wait, maybe you, I don't know, Skitty, if you're gonna be here tomorrow, but we will be here tomorrow, not next week, because tomorrow is Thursday. So yeah, 9 p.m. EST. Hope everybody has a great night. Good night. Bye-bye. I'm waving. Bye-bye.